Recording in progress.
Good evening. Welcome to the March 17th, 2025 meeting of the Yarmouth Board of Health. We're also celebrating something tonight also, right?
St. Patrick's Day for those of us who do.
Thank you. Okay. Please, just one note here, and that is the meeting can be seen on Zoom, so really from home, which is nice. And that started way back in COVID days. Instructions for the website of how to get on, all the details of actually you could call in or just watch it. So let's start as usual with attendance. When we start to my left, Eric, are you here?
Here.
Mary?
Present.
I'm Hillard. Larry?
Here.
Charlie?
Here.
Let's move ahead with that. That's great. Okay, as usual, we start with a public comment. Anyone like to come forward to a mic? Just introduce yourself. Anyone is welcome, or even from home if they're zooming in, for sure.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Mark Grills. I'm the Director of Inspectional Services. I oversee the health and the building department, as you're probably well aware. Today, to my left, I have Daniel Ceriella, and he is our new hire as the health director for the town of Yarmouth, and I thought I would bring him along and introduce him. So, do you have anything to say?
Sure. I'd just like to say hi and nice to meet the board. Looking forward to working with you. I think we're hopefully going to start April 7th is what we're hoping for. Just waiting to get all the paperwork finalized. Really looking forward to getting down here. Been public health, just hit 13 years last week, so a little bit of experience working City of Taunton, Town of Milford, and currently in the City of Attleboro as the health director there. So
Great.
looking forward to get down on the Cape.
We're excited to get started with you, all right? Just welcome.
Thank you.
Contact me if you have any questions just to get this going for you, all right? That transition would be my
I definitely
pleasure.
just get to know everybody and just get a little background on everybody too as I get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody, any questions? Anyone?
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, sir.
Got a tough act to follow.
Yeah, I've heard, yeah.
And you can see we're a pretty friendly group here.
I don't think that act can be followed.
Okay?
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Forward.
Thank you.
And you'll find the meetings generally are. Okay, anyone from home back there looking to speak, or anyone here like to come forward? Public comment? Okay, guess not. Number 2 on the agenda is the DY School Nutrition, it says, and we have a Rooney Powers from the Dennis Yarmouth Regional School District Food and Beverage Director. So that's a lot on your business card.
I don't usually use the beverage director part of it, just the food service director part of it.
Well, you brought some beverage with you.
Beverage.
Okay,
It's
so you know
usually
what you're
water,
doing.
Yes. So,
So, just for the record, it's being recorded and so on, just introduce yourself.
sure. My name is Rooney Powers. I'm the food service director at the Dennis Yarmouth School District. And I want to thank you for inviting me here tonight. Any chance that I get to talk about my program, I'm very happy to do so, with bells on, actually.
It's
Very
quite
proud
exciting.
of-
Just to let you know, we haven't had someone come in before, at least in the last 10 years.
Well,
whatever
it's
I've been
well
here, which is-
overdue because,
yeah.
you know, I'm here to brag about what we do because what we do is fantastic for our kids. So I'll just give you a little bit of an overview of what programs we run in the district and what we're trying to do for the kids as far as health and nutrition. We run a federally funded program called the National School Lunch Program and the National School Breakfast Program. Both of these programs are federally funded with a little bit of back end from the state. They are run it's a federal program, but with support from the state and the Department of Education. With that program, we're under a pretty good amount of rules and regs to try to keep our school lunches and breakfasts balanced and healthy and follow all the regulations that try to put a nutritious meal on every kid's plate every day. So some of those things that are in control on a daily basis, also on a weekly basis, are things like calories and saturated fats, added sugars, sodium levels. There's also different food groups that we have to put on the plate every day. We have to have fruits and vegetables on the plate every day. We have to have grains on the whole grains on the plate every day. We have to have a protein. We have to offer milk every day on the plates. Those break down a little bit more specifically towards the grade level of the kids. So in the elementary schools, for example, the calorie count at the K through 5 level is 500 to 650 calories. And it goes up as the grade levels go up. Up in the middle school, you're 600 to 700 calories, and up at the high school, you're 750 to 850 calories a day. The saturated fat has to be less than 10%. We have no foods with trans fat at all, not allowed in the schools. Not allowed in any of our foods, any of our snacks. There's zero trans fat. We don't have any fryolators, so there's no frying going on. Everything we do is baked, roasted, grilled. It's steamed. We use a lot of steamers for all of our fresh vegetables. So there's no fried foods in the schools at all. Sugars, again, under 10% of the total calorie count. And our sodium levels right now, over the past few years, they've brought them down. As 10 years ago, it was a little bit higher, but they've put in a little bit more regulations on that sodium, now knowing what the sodium count in foods is outrageous, and a lot of the stuff that we get in our foods, especially packaged foods and such. So the sodium levels have come down over the years, and is still trying to get it down a little bit. But right now we're at about 1,100 milligrams of sodium per day. So it's pretty good level. They're trying to get down to about 1,000. So that should happen in a couple of years. They're going to try to reach a new sodium level standard for us. As far as the foods that go on the plate, we also have to break that down per day and per week. So we have to have a certain amount of fruits and vegetables offered every day, and we have to have a total amount offered on a weekly basis. That's the same with the amount of proteins, the same with the amount of grains. Everything is broken down per day and broken down per week total. Some examples of that. So start with the grains. Everything that we serve is whole grain. All of our breads are whole grain. All of our snacks are whole grain. All of our breakfast foods are whole grain. There's no white bread in our district at all. So, and that goes down to the breakfast items as well. So all of the pancakes, the waffles, the French toast that we serve, it's all whole grain product made specifically for schools. So these are the things that you're not going to find on the shelves in the supermarket. They're made specifically for schools, for all these calorie counts, all the low sodium, all the low sugars, all that, and the whole grain content that we give the kids on a daily basis. So even the cereal that we serve in schools, you don't find it on the shelf at Stop and Shop. It's not there. So it's all low sugar and whole grain cereals that we serve. So it might say Cinnamon Toast Crunch on it, but ours is not what you get off the shelf at Stop and Shop. It's made specifically for schools to meet these standards. So the kids will go, "No, I had Cinnamon Toast Crunch for breakfast this morning." It's not what Mom got at Stop and Shop yesterday. So it's a little bit healthier option, but we still have to feed the kids, and they still want to be able to see a product that they're familiar with and enjoy. So we fake them out a little bit on the healthy side of things with some of the packaging. But everything that we serve, even the chips, we don't have anything fried chips. We don't have any trans fat stuff like that. Everything is baked. So anything that's a Lay's, a baked chip, it's a baked low-fat chip. You might find a Dorito on a kid's plate on a Friday special. It's not the Doritos that come off the shelf in the schools. It's a whole grain baked product, low fat. So they're completely different products to meet these standards. As far as the meats go and proteins, we have a variety of different proteins that we serve at school. We do chicken, we do beef, we do pork, we do fish. Everything's on the plate at all levels, from K all the way up to 12. So we try to do a variety of different proteins, keep it interesting, but between all of us, we know chicken nuggets will always rule the day. So it doesn't matter if they're in the first grade or they're in the 12th grade, a chicken nugget's going to rule the day. But we don't fry the chicken nuggets, and any coating that is on any products like that, whether it be the chicken nuggets or a chicken sandwich, all the coatings are also whole grain. They can't be a regular based flour on any of those coatings at all that covers anything. So that's a different product that you're going to get out of the grocery store as well. So it's different with us. Again, meeting these standards. As far as fruits and vegetables go, this is where I get a little bit excited. We have to put a whole bunch of stuff on the plate every single day, but we also have to break it down per category of vegetable. So we have 5 categories of vegetables, and from those vegetables, we have to make sure that we offer them through the week, whether it be, I'll give you a few examples. A dark green vegetable is one of the categories, and some of the things that we serve on a daily basis, make available on a weekly basis, arugula, bok choy, broccoli, romaine lettuce, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, watercress, all these things you will see in our schools. So that's one category that you have to see throughout the week at some point in every level of school. The red and orange category, which is typically carrots or tomatoes, but we also throw in pumpkins. We throw in butternut squash. We throw in winter squash. We throw in red peppers and sweet potatoes. All those vegetables run in that category. So you'll see those show up on our menus as well and offerings. We have to provide a legume category, so any type of beans. We do black beans, we do garbanzo beans, we do white beans, kidney beans, we serve lentils, we serve navy beans, and we serve white beans. So we're out there with all of that too. We're trying to get the kids to eat that, and that one's been a work in progress, but they actually, every single Friday, we make a chickpea salad, and we can't keep it in stock anymore because they tried it, and I'm like, now they like it. Now they want it every single Friday. So they try the food, and they're actually really, really enjoying them. So the beans have been a big plus for us. The other categories that you'll see on the menus are a starchy category, which is corn and plantains we have on our menus all the time, and any type of potato or yam or something like that in the starchy category. And then there's an open other category, which is your asparagus or avocados, bean sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, cukes, green beans, olives, onions, radishes, leeks, mushrooms, zook. All of that you'll see in all of our schools. So that's not just at the high school, that goes to the elementary school as well, and all these kids are trying these fruits and vegetables every day. Because of the amount of fresh produce that I'm able to get right now, a couple of years ago I said they're not getting enough on their plate. I want them to try more things. So a few years ago we implemented over at the high school a fresh fruit and vegetable bar. So if the kids come in and get a meal, whether they get the hot entree or the wrap option or the soup and salad option, whatever, they can go over to the produce bar and help themselves to as much fresh produce as they want. So there's, like at the high school today, there was 12 different things, varieties of fruit and vegetables on there. And the kids can help themselves to as much as they like. Radishes, kiwi, all different varieties of peppers, blueberries. They had blackberries there this week. And then a whole bunch of hand fruits and the plums and the peaches and the pears and all that stuff's there on a regular basis. Snow peas, anything you can imagine. We put on that bar and it disappears. And we can't keep it in stock. We can't keep up with it. So we're refilling it after every single lunch the kids come in, they empty it. So they're eating so much great, healthy, fresh food. It's really to be, I mean, it's bravo to the kids. I mean, we're putting it there, but they're the ones that are eating it and taking it and really want it. We have a lot of athletes in the district, and all those kids eat really healthy, and they want to eat healthy, and we're there to provide it for them, and I'm really, really happy that we can do that. So because it was a success at the high school, we put it down at the middle school. We have it in the elementary schools. So a little less choice. So little kids don't have, 15 choices, but there'll be 8 choices of different fresh fruits and vegetables there, and it rotates every single week. We get fresh deliveries of produce on a weekly basis and a lot of days on a daily basis. So the amount of product that we're putting out there and the variety for the kids to try is fantastic. So, you know, our plates look great, they're colorful, they're healthy, and I think we're really, really doing a great job with the nutrition and keeping our kids ready to go to make good choices, because we're teaching them young, but we treat our cafeteria as a classroom as well. So there's, you know, they learn when they come in. When they're little, their tastes are simple, and the choices we put in front of them are a little more simple for the 5-year-olds. They're little kids. But then as they grow, the tastes grow, our menus grow, the options grow. By the time they get to the high school, they're eating, today there was they have 2 homemade soups. So we have a great chef over at the high school, and she makes 2 homemade soups every single day. It's fantastic. So today was a corned beef and cabbage soup, actually, and a zuppa toscana soup over there today. And, you know, they're eating, you know, chicken marsala by the time they get to the high school. So those are the options. So it starts out chicken nuggets and ends up at chicken marsala. And the tastes grow, and we try to introduce new foods to them as they grow along and grow. So we use our cafeteria also as a learning space. So couldn't be prouder. I don't know if that's what you were looking for today, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
We have some, but
Sure.
I think that we need to
Shoot.
come and eat at school.
Yes, you
because
do.
I'm
It's
not
so
eating
good.
that.
It's so good there. Everyone comes in and is like, are you kidding me? This is school lunch. It's not what we think of as school lunch.
Can I
It's
go
not.
back to school?
It's so good. Yeah, we do a great job. You can come in anytime and get lunch. It's $5. No big.
Do you source any of your, say, fish or produce in the summer locally?
Most of our produce, we have big amounts of produce that come in, but most of our produce we get right here from Ring Brothers. They're our main supplier on the Cape for our produce. As far as fish goes, that one's a tough one because it's very expensive.
Right.
And it's hard. We serve 3,000 kids every day. So that's hard to provide a massive amounts of fresh fish to those kids every day. Now, I love that you brought this up because I'm right now going to be working with a local fish vendor to bring in local fish for us. We had to, you know, figure a few things out, and we have a few things to work out. But I think that pretty soon you will be seeing, probably at the high school to start, a lot of local fish, fresh fish on our menu.
Right.
I mean, it's Cape Cod. We got to do it.
So overall, it probably is more expensive.
It's very expensive. I mean, you know,
Everything.
if you just go to the
Right.
fish market and get fish for yourself, how much it costs. Can you imagine buying that for 1,000 people?
But I mean, just your menu in general.
The menu in general is, well, here's the thing. We have a program, too, that's called the DOD program, which is actually the Department of Defense. So the USDA, actually, the Department of Defense provides all the food for all the bases in the country, for all the service people. So they deal with all the food, Department of Defense. So with that federal program, depending on, if you choose to participate, which of course I do, they will give you a certain amount of free produce if you participate in this. And it depends on your participation in the prior year. So we served this many meals last year, so they're going to be like, okay, we're going to allow you to have, you know, $100,000 worth of fresh produce. And that saves us a lot of money. So we have a lot of programs like that work as grant programs that bring us in a lot of fresh produce.
How many districts participate in this state? Do you know?
In the state, most districts in the state participate in the National School Lunch Program. Some private schools don't. They choose, I mean, Sturgis does not. I mean, those kids go out, they don't have a cafeteria. So it's mostly private schools. St. Pius School actually has our staff in the St. Pius School. So we partner with them, and our staff is in the St. Pius School. So our program is in there as well, so that works out
And the
great.
last question, how likely is it that you'll be able to continue this wonderful program if some of these agencies are being dismantled?
Well, thank you for that. Very, very important question. Was right now we have free breakfast and lunch for all the kids. We participate in 2 programs that make that happen, or there's 2 avenues that make that happen. We run a CEP program, which is the Community Eligibility Program, Community Eligibility Provision, which if you reach a certain threshold of qualifying free kids, what used to be a qualifying number, which we have a very large number in the 2 towns combined. If you meet that threshold, you can participate in this program, and it gives you free meals for the entire district. We are in that program. But the state of Massachusetts last year codified a bill that said we were going to make free meals in the state of Massachusetts. We want the kids to eat for free. We saw what it did during COVID. The participation went through the roof. All these kids that were kind of sliding through the cracks that couldn't quite get a free lunch, but couldn't quite afford to pay for a full price lunch, sliding through the cracks. Now all of a sudden, they have a free meal. They're coming in and they're eating. And they saw what that did, and the state of Massachusetts stepped up and said, we will cover any costs that aren't covered by the federal government. So Massachusetts is covering the balance on that. So right now, and I hate to, I don't know, I don't want to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, because I'm about to, so.
I don't want to, anticipate something that may not happen or may happen. But right now, what's being tossed around is that threshold for the CEP program is going to go from here to here. So they're going to say, oh, your town needs to be 80% free kids to be able to get this program instead of 60% or, whatever number they're going to come up with. I don't know. Will we meet that? I feel as though if they bring it to a certain number, we'll still meet it here in DY. So I don't see the free meals going away at this point.
The administration, cut back $1 billion from programs to support schools with food.
Correct.
Through the governor, we lost $12 million,
Yeah.
which may be affecting.
So the $12 million was for a specific program that brought fresh fruits and vegetables and local goods from local farms into the schools.
Okay.
So those people that participate in that, we do not participate in that program. So it won't affect us directly, but the school districts and food pantries that participate in that program, grant program, they would go out and buy their fresh fruits and vegetables from the local farms. They'll get them from all the local farmers. They'll get their produce from them. They'll get their dairy from them. They'll get their meats from them, and all their fresh fruits and vegetables. And that helped them bring in all those great products into their schools and was offered to their kids. That's gone away. So not only does it hurt the schools and the kids eating those meals, but it's going to hurt those farmers as well, because now no one's going to buy that product from them, and it's going to sit there. So that's a double-edged ouch for that one, and it's a shame. And I don't want to get into politics, but it's a shame.
Well, to change the theme, what precautions are taken for the K-5 kids who have food allergies?
Food allergies, any child that comes into the school has to fill out a health form with a nurse. Any allergies that they have or any food difficulties, they have to go through the nurse. So the nurse will bring us down the slip and say, Susie Smith has an allergy to strawberries, this one has a peanut allergy, this kid is a diabetic we have to pay attention to, this child has celiacs. So we take care of all those kids really, really well. So every single school will have a list of those kids. The managers in the cafeterias will get to know those children one-on-one to their face. They will know Susie, they'll know Timmy, and they know what they can eat and they know what they can't eat. We make special meals every day in every school for a variety of kids for a variety of reasons. We have kids that come in at the high school and they're celiac kid, and we have a whole bunch of gluten-free products that we offer those kids and take care of them on a daily basis. Same, we have a couple of really different allergies. We have a sesame seed allergy. We have a celery seed allergy. Really crazy stuff, right? I've never had a celery seed allergy before, and I've been doing this for a long time. But it's in a lot of salad dressings. So, we watch that, and we know what that child needs, and we make sure that we take care of that. So we're aware of all the kids that have special needs when it comes to food.
Great
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad you mentioned saturated fat. I came across an article last week, and this was in the Journal of American Medical Association, and it had to do with butter. And apparently there was a study that just finished up, was over 30 years, they followed 200,000 people. And the people who were eating a lot of butter actually had much higher rates of cancer and cardiovascular disease.
Interesting.
So you're doing the right thing.
Interesting. Yeah,
No, it's
we
looking-
don't use a whole lot of butter.
No,
So I say most of our vegetables that come in are steamed. They're not fried. They're not,
Right.
or we roast. So we have a lot of, but there's not a lot of butter in our products. No.
Yeah, there was discussion in about plant-based oils. In other words, whether it's canola or olive or soybean, there's
Yeah.
alternatives that seemed that the group that did better were using.
We're using the
instead of
canola
butter.
oil. Interesting. Yeah, and
Mediterranean
olive
diet.
oil.
But-
Yeah, the Mediterranean diet, right?
But
Healthy,
our-
fresh, clean eating. So we do our very best at DY, and I'm proud of the program. I'm proud of what we're putting in front of the kids every day. I'm proud of the choices that they have. I mean, any day at the high school, there'll be literally, not exaggerating, 30 choices for the kids to choose from. 25 to 30 choices. They can come in and have 4 or 5 hot entrees to choose from. They'll have a sandwich and soup combination to choose from. We have wraps. We do bistro boxes that are vegetarian with hummus and all kinds of different veggies and pita breads. And we do parfaits with granola and yogurt and smoothies. We do all kinds of smoothies. The kids love the smoothies. And again, great healthy stuff. And the options are endless. And you're never going to find a kid that's going to come in and say, there wasn't anything good for me. I didn't like anything. There wasn't anything for me to choose from, because there's a ton at every level. Yeah.
Where does the unused food go?
What's that?
Where does the unused food go if
Oh,
it's
that's
still
a great
fresh stuff?
question. The unused food, there's very little of that. We're very good at knowing what we're going to use. And anything that can be used a second day is used a second day. But as far as anything going in the trash, it's minimal. It really is minimal at every level of the school. We know how much salad we're going to serve every day, because we serve that same amount of salad every day. So we're not going to put an extra case on, and toss it into the Caesar salad. We know it's going to be 2.5 cases of lettuce, and we come right down to it. And that happens in all the schools, and that's just been trial and error through the years. But we keep great records of, on this day, this is how much we used, on this day was how much we used, so they can reference back and say, oh yeah, we went through 9 cases of carrots. We're going to cook 9 cases of carrots. But again, if we can reserve something the next day or repurpose it the next day, we most certainly do that. A lot of, if we're cooking the fresh green beans and we have, a handful of fresh green beans left at the end of the day, they're going to go into the soup the next day. So we turn them into something else.
we're
That's just
striving-
as good.
Striving to lower the use of disposable plastic in town. How does it apply to the cafeteria in the sense of disposable plastic?
That would be very, very difficult for us to do, to have real silverware, as you would in the cafeteria. Every kid grabs a fork, just about. So we do use a good amount of it. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast.
How about other things than silverware?
Trays, we wash our trays. We do have, from time to time, we have disposable trays. They're a green product. But as far as the silverware, that is plastic. Yeah.
You want to ask straws? You want to ask the straw question?
Straw. I'll be quiet on.
Student feedback generally positive?
Feedback is always, yes. you can't say always because perfect is not a thing, but yes, we really have a great response from our parents, from the teachers, from the kids. They come up and say, that was so good, they want more. You know, they come up and say, I want more. And the kids, again, if they go out and if they have eaten all their meal and they come up with an empty tray, we say, please help yourself to all this produce. Please take another piece of fruit. You know, then we're not going to give them 2 more slices of pizza. That's not how it goes. But we'll offer them as much fresh fruits and fresh fruits and vegetables as they want. Fill your plate back up. Go for it.
And-
Again, for free.
How much time is allocated for meals?
A half an hour. Half an hour. So the kids come in and they have a half an hour. We get most of the schools are on it's 11:30, 12, 12:31. And the kids will get through the lunch line. My time is, we don't have a kid standing in the line for more than 10 minutes. So, and it's usually less than that. Like, that's maxed out at the high school or the new middle school. Those lines are long. There's 1,000 kids in that school. The lines are long, but we move them through really fast. My staff is amazing. They're quick. They know what they're doing. They're efficient, and they treat every kid with respect, and they know them by name, and they know what they want, and I know what you want today, and it's terrific. So the kids move through the line really quickly. So they have, the last kid in line will still have 20 minutes to eat.
What about the teachers and other staff in sense of some nutrition during the day? What happens?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Just about teachers and staff. I mean, they must.
They eat in the cafeteria?
They need to eat during the day.
Teachers eat in the cafeteria. If you go over to the middle school, there'll be a line of teachers at the salad bar. We have a
That's great.
phenomenal salad bar. It's going to blow any salad bar away that you come across in this part of the state. I'm going to say this part of the state because it's that good. Varieties of different salads that are all homemade right there. So the salad bar at the middle school, there's a line every day. So as far as kids, and this will give you a great example, off the salad bar, next to the cheeseburgers or the pasta dish, the salad bar line, we will serve 150 kids off the salad bar every day at the middle school. They choose the salad bar over the other items. So it's a huge success. And the teachers come down, they can't get enough of that. So, it's terrific. And over at the high school as well, and at the middle schools, they come down and eat too. At Ezra Baker, we have a salad bar at Ezra Baker as well, along with the fresh and fruits, the vegetables and stuff that we offer. We have a salad bar at the Ezra Baker School. So Ezra Baker and the middle school both have salad bars.
Imagine the diet of the students in the summer is quite different with their eating
Well,
at home.
You want to get me started on that? I was just saying something to a colleague that everyone looks forward to summer. I don't look forward to summer. I like the weather, but all these kids go home and they don't have a meal. They don't have 2 meals. So for 10 months, they come in and they get breakfast and they get lunch with us. And they get a great meal with fresh fruits and vegetables and all this stuff. And they go home and a lot of nights there's no dinner. And then here comes the summer. And they don't get those 2 meals. And the cabinets are bare and the fridges are slim. And summer's hard for a lot of families because they depend on the meals from school to help feed their kids. And come summertime, how do they feed their kids? So it's difficult for me. We do have a wonderful summer program that we have out there. I try to reach as many kids as we can. Right now, we have worked with the Yarmouth Rec Department and the Dennis Rec Department over at Flax Pond. We feed all the kids at Flax Pond every day for free. We feed all the kids at the Johnny Kelly Park for free. We feed the Boy Scouts, the Scouts now. We feed the Scouts for free over at Camp Greeno. We feed all of our daycares in our schools. All those kids are taken care of during the summer. All the school all the actual school students, the kids that are there for learning, for summer school, all those kids will feed. And then we have an open property over at the high school where you can come in and you can get a free meal. You can come off the street. You don't have to be a member of our school district. You can be, grandma's babysitting some kids and can come over and play on the playground for a little while and go over and get a free meal from us every single day, well, Monday through Friday. So you can come and get a free meal from us, 18 and under, and we will feed you every single day. So there are programs out there. We also take care of the kids over at Waypoint during the summer. During the school year, too, we provide their food. So we try to reach as many as we can. I wish we could do more because there's kids that can't get to us. So that's a little bit of a personal, ouch for me. I wish I could have a food truck and just drive around and feed all the kids every summer. So maybe someday.
The only thing I can say is thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Great education for us and for the people listening in tonight.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. So if you have any questions,
See you for
I
lunch.
have one
give me a holler.
question.
Shoot.
All the other questions were covered well, but I know when you got into dark green vegetables, are these students actually given any formal instruction on good nutrition at any
Well,
point?
there is a, they do
They know the
have, they do
value
have
of-
health classes, and nutrition is part of those health classes. So does that spill over into the cafeteria a little bit? There's a new project going on at the high school right now that's very exciting. They're putting in some community gardens over there. I don't know if you've heard about that yet. Maybe I wasn't supposed to spill that. So there's going to be a community garden over at the high school, and they're going to be growing all kinds of things, and we're going to bringing that into the cafeteria and serving it in the cafeteria, turning it into different foods. So we will promote that and say, hey, this is grown right here. And we got some aquapods coming into the cafeteria so the kids can actually see what's being grown, and we'll have some herb gardens and stuff growing into those aquapods that we're bringing in too, and those rotate really quick, and those, so they're going to be feeding the cafeteria all the fresh herbs. So it's terrific. So, we're doing good things, and we're being very inclusive with our kids too. We have one day a month that we do a meal from a different country. So last month we had Puerto Rico, and we did a traditional Puerto Rican meal. This month we're doing Cuba, and so we have food from Cuba coming in, and we're putting together a nice Cuban meal, and from the elementary school all the way up to the high school. So inclusion. These kids were coming in last month. I went out and, how's your meal? How's your meal? And the kids just chowing a plantain and going, this tastes like my house. So, we want those
Getting
kids.
hungry just listening to you. So-
So, proud of the program, and you should be too.
Yeah, definitely are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is number 3, and that's Cape Cod mosquito control. Barry, you want to make an introduction perhaps here?
Yeah, I reached out to, actually, I was at 4Cs for the science part of it, and I ran into Gabby and just got talking to her, and I know that coming up, it's going to be springtime pretty soon, and mosquitoes are very abundant here on the Cape, and I see your trucks out all the time, and she was very happy to come out to give us a little spew on mosquito control here on Cape Cod, so.
Nice to see you again.
Thanks for inviting me. My name is Gabrielle Sokolsky. Everybody calls me Gabby. I'm an entomologist, and I'm the superintendent at Cape Cod Mosquito Control Project. And I was just going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we do, a little bit about what we do in Yarmouth. We're a little different than the mosquito control projects off Cape, and we get a lot of calls from people who've moved here or visiting here from off Cape that want trucks to go by and spray for mosquitoes. We don't do any of that here on Cape Cod. No spraying for adult mosquitoes here. We're lucky because of the habitat and the disease situation here that we can do that. So anyway, Cape Cod Mosquito Control, we are mandated to control mosquito populations in all 15 towns in Barnstable County. We are, I guess, a state agency. We're paid for through our towns, through local aid that comes from the state and then comes into our budget. So yes, we're one of 10 districts across the state. We're the first organized mosquito control in the Commonwealth. Cape Cod Mosquito Control was established back in 1930. A lot of the businesses got together and wanted people to spend a little more time and money on Cape Cod. And so that's what you see across the seaboard, is that the early mosquito control districts were all the coastal districts. And a lot of it is because of the salt marsh mosquitoes. So we're funded by all 15 towns. We have 5 commissioners, a board of local people who sit above us, 1 representing the town managers, 1 representing the local elected officials, the town councilors or boards of selectmen, and 3 at-large members. We have monthly public meetings that nobody really attends, but anybody is welcome. They're public meetings. We have 27 full-time year-round staff working at the mosquito control district. We are in charge of mosquito control in all 15 towns, and like I said, we're not driving around trucks. We are people with boots on the ground in the swamps, and it's every day, all year long, doing the work. So it's very labor-intensive work. Just to remind everybody, the life cycle of a mosquito. Mosquitoes have complete metamorphosis. I'm an entomologist, so I had to at least have one bug picture in here. Mosquitoes lay their eggs on or around standing water. The larvae develop in standing water. The pupa are in standing water as they're going through metamorphosis, and then you see the flying adults. Hopefully not too many on Cape Cod. We're working hard out there to make sure. I think a lot of times just education, reminding people that just going around their yard, emptying out those containers that are holding water after the rain does a lot to control the mosquito populations just around their yard in the evening. Those mosquitoes don't fly very far that lay their eggs in those containers. And I think sometimes there's a disconnect. People see the stuff wiggling around in the water. They don't connect it necessarily to those adults that are out there biting them. So you can do your own mosquito control in your yard just by emptying any containers after the rain. And we're coming up on mosquito season. It's early yet, but in a month, we're going to switch over our operations to controlling mosquitoes because those mosquitoes will be starting to develop in the water. As soon as the water temperatures hit 50 degrees in this area, the mosquitoes start going further through their development. We use an integrated mosquito management approach to controlling mosquitoes on Cape Cod. We control mosquitoes when they're in their developmental stages. By the time they're adults, it's too late. They're already biting people, right? That's what we don't want to get to. We use water management. So this time of year, our crews are out cleaning out ditches, opening up pipes, creating access paths so we can get in to do this type of maintenance. Mosquitoes develop in standing water. If there are fish in the water, if the water's running, no problem. And you can imagine the way Cape Cod has developed, there are a lot of ways that water used to run that are now roads and houses. And so we help keep that water running ways that it can get around all of that. So that's what we're doing October through April. And in April, probably a month from now, we'll be switching over to our larval surveillance and larvicide applications. Crews will be out, like you can see in that picture. Somebody, they're out there scooping, taking a scoop of water, seeing if there are mosquitoes in that water, and if those mosquitoes are found in the water at levels where we need to control them, they're using a larvicide. For the most part, what we use is a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, or BTI. It's very specific for mosquitoes. Mosquito larvae are filter feeders. So when we put that bacteria in the water, the mosquitoes pick it up with their little hairs on the larval head, and they feed on the bacteria. The bacteria creates a toxin in the mosquitoes that kill the mosquito larvae. Very effective. It's only around in the environment for about 48 hours where it's active. So good. It's not building up in the environment. Job security, because you have to keep going out and applying it when you find the mosquitoes developing. So that's what we're doing for control. We do a lot of education. We get about 300 calls every summer from citizens, residents in Barnstable County who are having a mosquito issue. When you give us a call, we send a crew out to look around you to see where those mosquitoes are coming from. Again, we're not going to spray for adult mosquitoes, but what we'll do is find the source of the mosquitoes and control them at the source, whether it's opening up a ditch or a pipe, or whether it's treating it with the larvicide and adding it to our maps as something that we need to check. It's a more permanent approach to mosquito control. And we're already being paid for, so call us. we're being paid for in your taxes. We're also doing adult mosquito surveillance. We're looking at efficacy, whether our program is working, whether we need to go into areas where we're finding mosquitoes and find where the problems are coming from. We're also doing disease surveillance. So that's going on all through the summer. We start our adult surveillance in June. By the second or third week of June, the State Department of Public Health starts their arbovirus testing program so that mosquitoes are being submitted weekly from traps around Cape Cod, including a trap site in Yarmouth, to test for West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis. So just to give you an idea of all the places we are in the town of Yarmouth, these are the red dots are all the work sites that our crews have been to for either water management or larval surveillance and, if needed, treatment since 2014, because I figured 10 years. And what you can see are the ones, maybe you can see it with the black dots, those are the sites that we visited last year. So there were 122 sites that have black dots in them. Those are the sites that my crew went to last year to check for mosquitoes or do water management. And that green star, there is our trap site in Yarmouth, where we're collecting mosquitoes weekly to test for Eastern encephalitis and West Nile virus.
Where is that at?
Oh, I try not to encourage people to ask that exact question because mosquitoes fly. And I find that there's a tendency, if I tell people where the traps are located, other than I don't want any vandalism for my traps, I tend to find that people say, oh, so your trap was on Main Street. It's not on Main Street. On Main Street, and I live on Water Street, so I don't have any problem. Mosquitoes fly. So I try to just say that's our Yarmouth trap site, but mosquitoes, that is reflecting a potential for mosquitoes to have either of these diseases in the town of Yarmouth. We also have trap sites in Dennis that are like right across the line. Mosquitoes don't know town lines. So yeah, so I usually don't give out that information. It's in Yarmouth. It's in South Yarmouth. So the two diseases that we're concerned with in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that the State Department is testing for on a weekly basis throughout the summer, one is Eastern equine encephalitis. Both of these diseases have the same sort of disease cycle. The mosquito bites a bird that has this disease in the bird, picks up the disease, and the natural cycle is for that mosquito to then bite another bird, and it cycles in the bird population. Eastern encephalitis, West Nile virus, they're both the same way. They both cycle in the bird populations. Every so often, a mosquito that bites both birds and mammals will bring the disease into the human population. With Eastern equine encephalitis, I'm sure people have read about it. It's a very serious disease with a high mortality rate for anybody who gets it and shows symptoms for it. With Eastern equine encephalitis, the vectors that are amplifying the disease in the bird population mainly feed on birds. So you don't see it getting into the human population or mammal population, equine encephalitis, or the horse population or any other animals as often as you see it in birds. That's the cycle, that's the mosquito. We've got about 25 different species of mosquitoes here on Cape Cod. Some of them are able to transmit certain diseases. Some of them aren't. And the one that transmits and amplifies that disease, that Culicidum melanura that you're seeing on that diagram, bites birds. So it's very unlikely or less likely that it will get into the mammal population. With West Nile virus, so the next slide. With West Nile virus, the mosquito that is picking it up from the birds bites mammals too. So it's much more likely that people are being exposed to West Nile virus, which is a much less serious disease. Most people who get West Nile virus don't show symptoms. There's a percentage that have like a summer flu or whatever type symptoms. There is a segment of the population that have severe symptoms from West Nile virus. And there are people who've died from West Nile virus. They had an outbreak in Arizona a couple of years ago where they had over 100 people in a county pass away from West Nile virus. So it's not that it's not a disease that you need to be concerned with. It is a disease that people will be most likely exposed to. The mosquitoes that carry West Nile virus are the mosquitoes that lay their eggs in man-made containers. Those are the ones that I'm reminding people, go out to your backyard, go around your house, clean out your gutters, because any standing water, those mosquitoes will lay their eggs in. These mosquitoes that transmit West Nile virus, the Culex mosquitoes in our area, they don't fly very far. So if you've got those mosquitoes, they're out at dusk, they're coming from your yard, or everybody tells me it's their neighbor's yard. But just going around and emptying those containers will reduce your risk of being bitten by one of these mosquitoes. So last year, just to give you an idea of how many mosquitoes we're collecting in the town of Yarmouth and sending in, last year we collected over 3,000 adult mosquitoes in our traps that we had set in Yarmouth. And we sent in, out of those, 26 samples were submitted for testing. Each sample is 5 to 50 mosquitoes. It's the same species collected at the same site. We had 0 come back positive for Eastern equine encephalitis, and last year we had 3 samples that were positive for West Nile virus. And this just gives you an idea over time. We do tend to see both diseases in our area, but not necessarily in high numbers. So I guess what I remind people of is that mosquitoes might be carrying disease. Even if you're not reading about it in the paper, even if it's never good to be bitten by mosquitoes. The State Department of Public Health updates maps on a weekly basis, or more frequently if necessary during the summertime. You can click on your town and see what the risk level is for transmission of either of these diseases in your town. So this is the map from October 30th, so the end of the season, and you can see that a lot of our towns are listed as remote for transmission of Eastern equine encephalitis. Provincetown had a couple positive pools of mosquitoes for Eastern encephalitis this year, so you can see that Provincetown is the only town that has a more increased risk, really. We have low risk in some of those towns at light blue because of historic positive samples. And then this is the end of the season map for West Nile virus. Like I said, in Yarmouth we had 3 pools of mosquitoes come back positive for West Nile virus. You can see that we were at increased risk for transmission of West Nile virus in our area, in the Mid-Cape to Upper Cape, and that you can see how that was spread across the state last summer. It's all dependent on weather, really. People this time of year tend to ask me, what do you think the season's going to be like? I don't know, it's really raining today, but it's been so dry. It's just going to depend on whether there's standing water and how many mosquitoes, what kind of habitat we have out there. Always remind people about personal protection. Me and the tick education folks are out there reminding people that it's never good to be bitten by any of these insects that might be carrying disease or ticks that are carrying disease. With mosquitoes, you can, again, remove standing water on your property. Don't create habitat for them to develop in. The mosquitoes that transmit disease tend to be out from dusk to dawn. So curtailing activities if you have disease in your area at those times. If you're outside and mosquitoes are biting you, put on some repellent. There are EPA registered repellents. You should look at the label, read the label. I know people don't even read the label of the bread that they're eating, but you should read the label of the products you're using, the repellents. It should have an EPA registration number on it, and use it by label. That EPA registration number is telling you that it's both safe to use on your skin and effective against things biting you. Yeah. And that's us. Anybody can call us if they have any questions, or if they're having a mosquito issue. Things are constantly changing in our area. We live on the coast. So there are going to be mosquitoes in some places that we're not expecting and that my crew is not going to on a routine basis. So we welcome calls so we can track down those mosquito problems.
I got a quick question. So my house, I take care of all the water and standing water. Bat houses, I've heard. Is that yes? No?
Okay, so I love bats. My mom studied bats. The studies that you read about bats eating hundreds or thousands of mosquitoes, those were done in a lab where all those bats were offered were mosquitoes. They had to eat a lot of mosquitoes to get protein for flight. In reality, bats are most likely eating the big beetles that you see flying around at night or something else, a larger prey source because of the amount of energy that they need. I love bats. Anybody should be protecting bats. Our poor bats have had disease running through their populations. Their populations are on the decline. So I'm bat positive, but they're not really helping us with mosquitoes, sorry.
Had to ask.
How long do these larvae take to develop in standing water?
So it depends on a couple of things. It depends on the temperature in the middle, and it depends on the species. Again, we have 25 different species of mosquitoes. Some of them overwinter as larvae. So they are mosquitoes that were eggs that were laid in the fall, and they will not hatch until summertime. And they're able to have the water freeze around them. They have antifreeze in their cells, and they will live. So those will live a long time as the larval stage. In the salt marshes, it gets really hot and it dries down quickly in the summertime. 1 week and they're flying. They hatch, and it's drying down. So I think that's, evolved that way. So they have to be quick. And in freshwater habitats, even in the summertime, in the middle of summer, you could have 7 days. As long as you're going around your yard once a week to check for mosquitoes, you're good.
Are these signs we see around, is that your organization? You see these signs that say mosquito control? They're like, is that a commercial company?
There are many companies that are out there right now that are putting, no, we're the green trucks with state plates on them.
You don't put these signs out?
No,
Yeah.
no. Those are commercial companies mostly being hired to apply product either as a barrier spray or to kill adult mosquitoes on contact.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not us.
Is the population growing or being reduced? In other
With mosquitoes? Oh,
yeah. What's happening over a period of time, of years now?
Okay, so that's a great question. I've been at Cape Cod Mosquito Control for over 30 years. And what I see is mostly it's a seasonal issue. It's all about the rainfall, the temperatures in the summertime, whether you can have higher or lower mosquito populations. But what I have seen over my time here is a change in species. So whereas one of the species that we're most concerned with here on the Cape, not because of disease, but because of the actual impact that it has on people's ability to be outside are saltwater mosquitoes. The saltwater species of mosquitoes will fly up to 5 miles for a blood source, and they bite you all day long. They're not out at dusk. It's not a couple of them. It's a lot of them when they do end up hatching. And what I've seen over the time that I've been at Mosquito Control is we've switched from a northern saltmarsh species to now it's mixed with a southern saltmarsh species. When I first came here, that southern saltmarsh species, I barely saw it. Maybe one I'd get in one location. Now it's all over Cape Cod. They're both an issue. So it's really seasonal as to whether there's a bigger or smaller population of mosquitoes. But what I'm seeing is shifts in the type of species that we're seeing.
Probably from climate change.
Probably from climate change, yes.
Are these diseases pathogenic to the birds that they infect? Are the birds affected?
So Eastern equine encephalitis is not.
Yeah.
It is to things like emus, non-native birds, it is. The emu farms, it was terrible. And things like pheasants, things that aren't native to this area, but the other birds, no. West Nile virus seems, especially when it came into the country, it was impacting the crows, the blue jays, the birds related to that. Over time, those birds have been,
Natural immunity.
yeah, the population has changed. So, yeah, even with West Nile virus, you do see some mortality, but it's not correlated anymore with the level of West Nile virus in the area.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why does it seem every year more cases are reported like in southeastern Massachusetts? There seem to be a pocket like Wareham, Carver, those areas for.
Those areas tend to have triple E.
Yep.
It's been historically found in those areas. It's the habitat. It's that mosquito species that I talked about that's transcycling it in the bird population and amplifying it. They have large acidic swamps in those areas, and that's where that type of mosquito lives. We have cedar swamps in Yarmouth, quite a few actually. And that species of mosquito would be found there, but they're much smaller, so they're easy for us to access and get through.
Now, what role do cranberry bogs play in it? Do they affect the populations of
So
mosquitoes?
active cranberry bogs, no, because they're running the water through it. They don't want it to keep flooded. The bogs that are now not being actively farmed have become a concern. It's standing water.
Sure.
So, yeah, and there are a lot of projects right now, some in Yarmouth, looking at restoring the cranberry bogs, and we've been working closely with the organizations that are doing that, because if they're not careful, they can create a mosquito issue in the middle of a housing development or in somebody's neighborhood where a cranberry bog used to be. So we've been trying to work with those organizations to make sure that they're not creating a problem.
How do you sterilize mosquitoes? I mean, is the population, is some way of doing that to reduce the population of?
So in the Florida Keys, they're doing sterile releases of mosquitoes. It has worked for other insects, like probably not any insects you've heard of, but it's worked for other insects where you do a sterile male release. And so you release a bunch of mosquitoes that are male, that are sterile, and then they mate and they don't reproduce. There's a lot of concern about something like that because nobody wants people to release mosquitoes anywhere anyway. So it's something that they've looked at. There's also a program with Wolbachia, which is something that you can infect the mosquitoes with, which makes them unable to transmit diseases. So they're still mosquitoes, they're still out there biting people, but they're not able to transmit disease. That's been used in areas where there are diseases like dengue and chikungunya and large outbreaks of disease. But there are no sterile mosquitoes. Just want to get rid of them. You can never get rid of them.
I get real excited talking about holometabolous metamorphosis. So,
I love it.
how long is the adult life stage typically?
Again, okay, it's seasonal, right? And it depends. There are some species, the species that transmit West Nile virus, they spend all of winter in the adult stage. So they're adults from November to April or whatever. They're going through their diapause hibernation. You have, in the summertime, most species, about 2 weeks. Cape Cod is super dry, super windy. Insects, as an entomologist, it's a little disappointing, but insects don't do very well on Cape Cod. So maybe 2 weeks. It's why you don't see a lot of dog heartworm in our area, because those mosquitoes have to live a long time for the heartworm to get out of the gut into the salivary gland. They go through a lot of changes inside the mosquito. The mosquito has to live a long time. So in that way, it's we don't see a lot of that because of that.
work?
And the temperature has to be pretty much, 60 or above for consistently
It does. They
long
have
time.
they have to live a long time, weeks, to be able to have the heartworm be infected. So about 2 weeks, which can be hard because people call our office, they have a mosquito problem, and they want sprayed right away. I'm going to come. Our crew is going to get out there. We have great employees. They're going to get out there. They're going to find the source. They're going to take care of the source of the mosquitoes, and they're not going to be back. But you're going to have mosquitoes for a week or two flying around, biting you.
Do you know of any studies taking place with predatory insects? I don't know. Is that
There's nothing that eats enough mosquitoes. They look at, you can talk about things like dragonflies, or they just don't eat enough to actually impact the population. The only thing that really impacts a mosquito population as a predator, fish. Fish are great. If you can get fish into where the mosquitoes are developing in their larval stage, they'll eat hundreds of them. But yeah, no. No
Well,
insects.
and that's why we ditched so many marshes on Cape Cod.
Yeah, the ditches on Cape Cod are actually, most of them are from before mosquito control was organized. There were works projects in place, and they decided that they wanted to get rid of all the mosquitoes, and so that, and there's a lot of agriculture that made ditches over, especially on the north side too, for the salt marsh hay, yeah.
What's your message to the people listening in tonight about bird baths?
Empty them, clean them out once a week. The birds make a mess anyway. You probably, if you have a bird bath,
It should be cleaned every day, actually.
you're probably, yeah. Mosquito-wise, once a week, but
The
exactly.
bird's health, though, I would recommend
Yes.
daily.
Oh, my gosh.
What about just circulating the water in the bird bath? Does that
Still,
make
it
it,
still
well, does it
collects-
make a difference in terms of the mosquito?
Okay, so if you can get the water moving, maybe, but I also feel like there are the edges and there's, just clean the bird bath.
Yeah, the feces will carry all kinds of organisms that are pathogenic to the birds as well, so it's better to clean them every day,
Yeah.
or at least dump them and scrub I do that every day in my,
So mosquitoes do no good. Isn't that the one thing that Gandhi, or was it the
Oh, that is,
Lama?
that is the quote, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that is the quote. No, mosquitoes are out there to make more mosquitoes.
It's not on the agenda here, but what's the latest on our butterfly population? Anything you can tell us quickly, because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that I can quickly say about the butterfly population. I let my whole yard go to milkweed in the summertime because I love all the as soon as they bloom, the pollinators, the butterflies, everything come in. Yeah, they're talking about, and I'm not sure whether it's happened yet, putting the monarch on the endangered species list.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's happened, but if it hasn't happened yet, it's close. We have a few endangered butterflies on the Cape.
You know, this is off topic, but for an entomologist, what's going on with the hummingbirds? I used to have a lot of hummingbirds, and now it's,
Oh.
population is,
I don't know, my husband's the birder.
oh.
I'm not the
Seems,
birder.
I wonder just how much insecticides have to do with hummingbird population.
Oh, I don't know.
I found a way to get hummingbirds back.
Oh, you did?
An old timer up in Maine told me to use honey.
Honey? Good.
Yeah, I guess,
Excuse me, I
Yeah.
apologize. We're talking about repellents. Over the years, I work on diesel engines and all that stuff my whole life, and a girlfriend of mine wondered why the mosquitoes drove her nuts when we were up at the house in Maine, and I'd be out with a machine, and they wouldn't touch me. An old gentleman up in Maine said, "It's easy, you just rub diesel fuel on your arm and the back of your neck.
no, I would
And you-
never recommend that.
You can go out there for a week, and the mosquitoes won't come near you."
Oof, I would never,
Castrol, 2040, what do you use?
that's right.
Well, I found
Yeah.
out that diesel fuel works better than getting bitten by mosquitoes when I was out on the machine.
Carcinogenic.
I'll tell you.
Well, there are also studies that show some people are more attractive to mosquitoes than others. So that, there's probably a little bit of that. Not saying you're not sweet.
Started using it right after I found out, and
You're too crusty though, Charlie.
they just don't like diesel fuel.
But you don't know why some people are more attracted.
No, they've done a lot of studies. As you can imagine, there are a lot of different chemicals in your body that make you smell differently. Everybody's a little different. Certain things make people more attractive to mosquitoes. Things like fevers and sweating and things like that makes some people more attractive to mosquitoes. But a lot of it's just your body chemistry.
Doesn't it increase carbon dioxide levels too? Some people,
It,
you know,
it would be, yes, because that's what we're using in our traps
Sure.
is carbon dioxide. Yeah, that's what the mosquitoes are attracted to.
right.
Body chemistry.
And the people that aren't quite as fit as others, or they build up a carbon dioxide level in their body are more susceptible.
There are also a lot of other, all that plays a factor.
This is a special year for you, right? Doesn't happen very often every year.
Cicadas,
Yes. How about
As an
30
entomologist,
30 seconds, this is a big year for you.
big year, can't wait. I remember when they came out last time. Very disappointing, not a lot in Yarmouth. I live in Yarmouth. A little disappointing. But, yeah, it's
So what's your
exciting.
prediction this year?
For the cicadas? Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to predict, but when they came out 17 years ago, it was mostly the Upper Cape. There were parts of Marston's Mills that had a bunch of them. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Anyone?
thank you.
Yeah, this is great, always is.
All right, yeah, thanks for inviting me. I had to look up I used to be on the Yarmouth Board of Health 25 years ago.
Wow.
Ugh, I'm so old. Anyway, thanks for inviting me. Anytime you have a mosquito question.
You're an alumna.
Yes, yes. All right, we'll look over your folder, we'll see how you did on the exam, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is number 4. There's a variance request here. Barry, why don't you tell us what
Yeah.
this is all about?
Mike, Michelle, you can come up. We have a variance request. This house is at 18 Buchanan. It is in a Zone 2. When it was originally built, it was built as a 2-bedroom. It had a 2-bedroom septic in it. In 1982, I think it is, there's a large addition put on the back of the house behind the garage. And all through the notes, you can see when it was built that it was built just for a living room, not for bedrooms or anything like that. Historically, in the town of Dennis, with the collaboration of the health department and the water department, additions of bedrooms are not allowed in Zone 2, just to help protect the water aquifer. A lot of times people say, well, my house is a 2-bedroom, but my neighbor has a 3-bedroom. Well, that's the way it was built at the time. Michelle purchased this house a year and a half, 2 years ago.
About a year and a half.
Yeah, the septic, he did upgrade it to a 3-bedroom septic system, which is a minimum standard for Title V to have put in. If they would put in a 2-bedroom septic system, it had been deeded to a 2-bedroom. He would like to change the addition. When it was originally built, it was a 5-foot case opening going into to the great room. Building inspectors went out there, they did it. It was a 5-foot case opening. It was a living room. It was exactly to the standards that it was applied for. Over time, someone had put doors on there. Now it creates privacy. I gave you a copy of the Title V bedroom definitions. So now it could possibly be a 3rd bedroom, but again, we don't allow the 3rd bedrooms. A lot of times this happens. I ask people to open up doors, open up case openings to put it back to a 5-foot case opening. Michelle would like to, I went out and looked at the house. It does fall underneath the definition of a bedroom. I told him that was not allowed, but I also gave him the option to come in front of the board for a variance to have it be called a 3-bedroom. I think he's looking to sell the house to maximize his investment, so.
So the Title V upgrade, it was for a 3-bedroom system?
Yes, ma'am, it is a 3-bedroom system.
Was that because the previous system failed?
Yeah, it was in failure. It was older, and it was original with the home. So he did the right thing. He did the right thing and wanted to upgrade it, so.
And when was
Originally
that?
was cesspool, and,
Okay.
yeah, and having a cesspool before, and,
Do you mind introducing yourself to the?
yeah, excuse me, Michelle Mangado. I live in Mashpee right now, and I own quite a few property in Yarmouth. 2 of a major property, the 2 shopping center, the one across the way from the park and the one on Hart and Carroll. I renovated all these properties to make them as best as they can be for the town. And I believe Mark, he always vouched for it. He goes, I did such a great job trying to beautify the town. However, I saw this house at one time. The lady who lived in it, she was over 80 years old. She lived for over 40 years. Over 10 grandchildren, they all come into the house. So they all live in the house. I guess that's why she needed an extra room. And when I bought the house, I actually dumped 10 mattresses out of the house. I mean, she just had all the kids. So probably that's what she needed. But they had a cesspool, and it's always, it's just not a, decent setup. It's old and everything else. When I bought it, as soon as I didn't have to have Title V because I bought it through a exchange of 1031. I called my friend, he's a septic installer. I said, could you go in and check the septic system just to see if it's in good shape or not? I mean, like everything else, like electrical and everything else. He checked it. I said, yeah, that's a cesspool. I don't know if you want to keep it. I said, well, you don't have to. He said, you don't have to change it, but if you want to change, upgrade it, we can put a new one. I said, good. Put a whole new one, whatever it takes. Just put a new one for this house. He looks it over. He said, 3-bedroom system will do a good job. He just installed it. And I said, good, if that's the case. I went down to the health bank, get the zoning from the line online, and I saw 310 CMR 15, Title 5. It says this is from the state, where the total number of room for a single dwelling exceeds 8, not including bathroom, hallway, unfinished cellar, and unheated storage area. The number of room proceeds shall be calculated dividing the total number of room by 2 and rounding it to the next whole number. There's 8 rooms in a house. If I do what the state reads, that means I have 4-bedroom. I don't need 4-bedroom. I said, let's leave it 3, okay? I looked at another part here from the state, which is right above the town amendment for Town of Yarmouth amendment for Title V. It says single-family dwelling shall be presumed to have at least 3-bedroom. So in all, when I read that, when I bought the house, I said, it's a 3-bedroom. I mean, doesn't matter what it says here, it's 3-bedroom. But when I'm looking over, here it says total rooms 8. And it says 2-bedroom, 1 bath. But they're already taken a permit in 82 for a big addition with an extra bath. So there's a bath and 2-bathroom, and there's 8 rooms, and a brand new septic system. And I said, that should qualify for 3-bedroom. And it's not like, and then not only that, yes, I understand Barry was saying it's zone 2, but the neighbor across the street just sold their home, old system in it. It has 3-bedroom, and the house is only 1,050 square feet. I don't know what they do. They took the room and divided it in half. But this one here is like almost 1,700 square feet, has a brand new system, and they still call it, and it's across the street. That's number 91. This is 19, and this is number 18. And I go down 2 more houses. There's 2 more houses, 3-bedroom. So within this area, there's a lot of 3-bedroom. This one, nobody did anything with it in the last 42 years or 43 years that women lived in it. So it stayed.
And how many bathrooms?
2-bathroom in it.
Always have been 2 bathrooms.
For as long as I see it, it's old. I left one of the bathroom. I left the floor is a little old. I just kept it
You
old.
said the bathroom was added when they put the addition on?
They had to, yeah, because if I look at the plan here, there's an addition to the bedroom. This is the bedroom. There's this little jog, has a bathroom and a big closet, walk-in closet. So that's the drawing that the town has.
When was that? What date?
I believe this drawing was done in 82 because that's where the new addition.
Okay.
This is the new addition that Barry was talking about. It's about 450 square feet. So 450 square feet is a good size. So,
When was the septic put in?
septic was put in brand new,
Within a year.
330 gallon per day, which is for 3-bedroom, 11/4/29. Is this?
24.
No, it's
24. So,
It just,
no 11/1.
yeah.
when?
11/1.
November.
November 1, yeah.
I mean, for the house to be sold, either the seller or the new owner would have to bring a system up to Title V, isn't that correct?
Yes, and it is up to, so Title V requirements, minimum to put in any home is 3 bedrooms, 330 gallons. They just assume that. Whether it's a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom, it's 330 gallons per day. And it is a brand-new septic system, so that can handle.
What's your opinion on it, Barry?
I tell people every day, it's probably one of the hardest things I can do. People want to come in and add another bedroom for a mother that's getting older. And the first thing I look up is if it's in a zone 2 or not. And I have to tell them, unfortunately, Town of Yarmouth, Health Department and Water Department don't allow additional bedrooms in zone 2s.
When did that go, when was that ruling or that regulation put into effect?
Since I've been working here with Jay and Jeff Colby, the DPW director, so it's to preserve the zone 2, the water protection,
So does that mean all Zone 2, they don't allow them to have accessory unit?
That's correct. With all these ADUs coming in, they won't be allowed ADUs in zone 2s. I wanted one in my house, and I can't. I'm in a zone 2, so.
But if there's a lot of them in the neighborhood, they had to be done somehow. Not only that, I'm looking over, if the guy across the street and has 3 bedroom, but have an old system, that is more dangerous for the water system than that I put in a brand new system in here. I mean, it's like all of them. Like, matter of fact, I'll be going soon, coming up before the board for another unit in South Yarmouth that I bought, that has also a cesspool, and I just don't want it. I want to just put a holding tank until the sewer comes. But when I talked to Ryan, is it Ryan Chase? I think the guy name. He's the guy who's in charge of the sewer of the town.
Oh.
Yeah, and he goes, it's going to take a long time for that street. And I said, okay, maybe I'll order a brand new septic system for that whole area.
Yep.
And, you know, it's not, I don't think it's a good idea to have a cesspool. I think anybody who has a cesspool, they should be completely send us citations, say, listen, you get rid of it in the next few days or next month or something, or you can't live in this house. It's that simple. I mean, I'm the one, the first will be, if I was on the board, that'd be the first thing I would do. Everybody has to have a brand new septic system. That's it. And even though the sewer's coming, but who knows, it might take 5 years until this thing comes in. In that 5 years, you could do a lot of damage.
So Barry, he mentioned the house across the street. So was that a legal application if he's telling the truth?
When they were built in the 70s or whatever, that house was probably built as a 3-bedroom, and it met all the criteria. The cesspool was designed.
So that's grandfathered?
Yeah, that's grandfathered, and we can't make them undo that.
I see.
I'm I'm in a zone 2, and the house behind me is a 5-bedroom, but that's how it was built originally. That's how it was originally, but ever since they started with the Aquifer Protection District and regulating the zone 2s to try to help protect it as much as possible, it's been no additional bedrooms.
Question for you, if 3-bedroom is not allowed in this, why is it in front of us? You said you tell people no.
But everybody has a right to ask for a variance.
Okay,
So that's, I can't deny people asking for a variance,
Okay.
so. And it's,
So it seems to me, though, the variance would have to come from both the Health Department and the Water Department, from Lori Ruzala.
that might be true. I didn't think about that.
You know, I don't think we could make a variant exception to a Zone 2 regulation on our own.
There may be a long line of people who want to do that, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's, and then looking further into the future, now that we're getting town sewer, everybody's like, oh, I am on sewer now, I don't need my septic, I can add a bedroom. Well, they haven't come up with their regulations on what they're gonna do with the zone 2 then either, so it's.
Which leads us to the same situation now. If whoever lives in this house for the next 5 years until the sewer comes in, if they decide to use a big great room as a bedroom, who's going to say no to them? They're there. I mean, when they get in the house and close the door, Who cares where they sleep? I mean, when I went there, there were like 4 beds in that room. So they use that room as like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. But here I'm trying to make it right, so it won't be issue when the people come in and say, look, this is only 3 bedrooms, not 4 bedrooms. So you cannot go in there and add more rooms to it, and that's into that. And there's a brand new septic, at least to make it right. Because if I left it alone without doing anything to it, it'll be still on cesspool. And there's still people, probably 10 people or whatever living in that house. And I'm trying to make it right. That's all.
The only concern that I would have was when these people buy the house, they know it's a 2-bedroom. So if they go ahead on their own and use that as a bedroom, they're in violation of that.
Yeah,
Whereas if,
you're in your own house, who's going to say to you, you
well,
can't?
but they're still in
You know what I'm saying?
violation though.
I mean, this lady lived in there for 42 years with 10 grandchildren. Who said anything to her in the last?
Yeah.
I mean, just because she left a lot of the stuff in the house and she went to nursing home and whatever afterward, and then I got stuck with all this stuff, the furniture. I had to take like 2 dumpsters worth of stuff. And, you know, the town charged you like $30 per mattress, just so you know. So I had to get rid of all of them. And I said, look, you know, if that's the stuff, even if I just left it alone, clean it up and sell it the way it is, the next person can do the same.
Well, they could.
And there's
but-
nobody ever gonna know.
But from my perspective, is if we approved it, we're condoning that.
Right.
We could
Yep.
put a deed
But
restriction on
we're
it.
zo-
too.
That's a
doing that.
precedent.
The only reason why I'm doing that is because I say, you know, let's get rid of
Very noble of you
let's
to
get
do
rid of
that.
the cesspool and put a septic.
Right.
Since I put a septic as 3-bedroom, and I'm looking over as this, what the state reads on the calculating number of homes, it's any house, if you add the room, becomes 3 or 4 bedroom descent. And I figured, hey, maybe you shouldn't have that. I mean, just make it like normal, not just everyone is different from the other. This is to make everything the same way what it should be.
From that point on.
Yeah, I mean,
We're talking
it's-
about
I
things
can
that
see
were done
if-
way in the past.
I can see if I don't have a new septic, I have the same old system, and I come up and you say, no, it's not. I say, you know, that's correct, you're right, no problem. But you know, why did I put a new system? For what? Just for a good look? I just did it because I don't want to have damage to the water that everybody's drinking.
Can we just clarify, was there an obligation to install the new system?
No. He did it on his own.
No obligation.
I thought you said it was fair.
During the transfer of property, isn't it the owner or the buyer or seller's responsibility to upgrade the system in order to make it in compliance with Title V?
You have 2 years from time of purchase or sale to get a Title V inspection.
Okay.
Unless it's a cash deal, you still have 2 years. But if it's cash deal, usually banks don't
Yeah.
require Title V
Banks
inspections.
usually do that.
But would a cesspool would not be in
No,
compliance
The town of
with
Yarmouth is under
Title
a
V?
watershed permit since we are getting the town sewer, and cesspools are not an automatic failure.
They're not an automatic failure.
No, it's not.
So again, you have Mrs. Jones who lived there by herself for 40 years,
And her,
and it passes. And
The
there's
cesspool is
nothing-
fine.
It's
Runs.
fine. But then you also have Mr. Smith, who has 10 kids in his house and has a brand new septic, and it not being properly taken care of, it can fail in 2 years. I've seen that happen also. So it's all how you maintain, but if you overload it, overexert a system, then it's, has
I mean,
more
I had a
potential.
guy come in to check it who does only septic. He's a good friend of mine. And I said, could you look at it and see if, you know, everything's okay? Because I usually have an electrician go through it, plumber go through it, make sure everything's in order. I don't want to have to deal with it later on. And he said, you got a cesspool. It works. It's fine. But if you want to change it, we'll change it. I said, how much is it going to cost me? He said, between 20 and 30,000. I said, just do it. Got it done. It's simple. It's like part of the cost of doing a house. And I don't have to deal with it. I said, this is a 3-bedroom house, should have a 3-bedroom septic. He said,
Well,
okay.
right, you're saying that, but the minimum requirement for Title V is to meet a 3-bedroom. It's a 330 gallons per
330
day
is
of.
110
Right, so
per room.
I'm just saying that you didn't do it out of, a noble act to, I put in a 3-bedroom system. That's the minimum requirement.
I didn't know it was the minimum until Barry told me that, but I do know that when I bought the house, I'm looking at it, that according to the state and everything else, total rooms divided by 2, I should have 4-bedroom, and I didn't care for 4. I said, like, it's 3. And I counted the number of rooms. Theirs looked like a 3-bedroom,
Yeah, I'm not,
and I said, that should be good enough for me.
I'm not sure what document is being referenced.
I gave it, what he's reading, I gave it to you.
I just wanted to identify
The
which,
loose one that I gave you also, the definition of bedroom.
yeah.
I had the same understanding you did, and being on the
Barry,
board all
this is
the
why
time,
in my mind,
we
that
don't-
you needed to meet Title
he
V
goes to sell this. He wouldn't have
requirement.
had to-
That's
when you
was my
transfer
understanding.
the ownership of a house.
That was my understanding.
Mine also.
Still sell it?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, before he,
I even talked to the
with his old system. So he would have had to do that anyway.
Okay.
And right now, that's all I use for.
Would have had to do that.
Price of a bedroom offsets the septic.
Then there's this one here.
Next door neighbor, because I live right next door.
Family,
Yeah, I understand that.
3-bedroom house, any single.
He is, worked fine. One day Ron was in there and he says, a little fucked up, so.
And, when you read this, you presume automatically when you buy a house, it's 3-bedroom.
And
I said, let's make it.
plug it up, so I pulled the pipe right out of the house and put in all new plastic.
All right, we got a lot of side conversations going on here. Probably need to, yeah, we're trying to,
It's not like something.
Yeah, that's surprising.
I think we're looking for you to maybe grab a seat. Can I just hold on to this for a second?
yeah. It just, like I say, at least once a day, I tell people, I apologize, you're in a zone 2, no additional bedrooms. In a year and a half I've been doing this. Michelle was the first one that asked me what they could do to get past it, so that's why.
Yeah, I don't think sewering is really the argument one way or the other. It's just that's going to go on for decades.
Yeah.
And knowing, we don't know where it's going to go, the plan is in different areas, but who knows when this is going to reach any particular house other than the ones right off of 28, so.
Personally, I give him the variance. But that's just me.
Well, you can certainly
motion.
make a motion for that if you want.
Hopefully I can do this right. I make a motion to grant the variance for the address of 2128.
18.
Oh, that's a box number. No address here.
Oh,
Oh,
it's-
18,
Buchanan.
18 Rockland Road, South Yarmouth.
So is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so you can do that, and then you vote, just to move it along. Okay, so let's vote on it. All in favor of granting the variance, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
So the vote, it doesn't pass. So it's, the variance, well, was not granted, basically. So,
Stays a 2-bedroom.
yeah. Hope you understand the argument a little bit. One of the things I think is the issue that Barry has discussed of all the people in Zone 2 who may want to be doing what you're doing is the problem with picking and choosing, just my
It's
opinion.
basically a reason, you put a nice septic system for what? For no reason. I could have just left it alone and saved myself that much money.
Well, I appreciate that you did
mean,
it,
it's
because
like
we have a,
Doing it all nice all around.
we tried to protect the Aquifer Protection District, and we take that very seriously. We have mostly commercial kinds of things that come before it, but we've had this also. So I personally appreciate that you did this, but it's still Zone 2, and today is today, and so we have to protect Zone 2.
And, pretty soon when the sewer comes in, then people's gonna come back and apply for it. I mean, I may not be the one who owns it by that time, but still, it's gonna come up before the board before you know it.
But this is today, and this is what we have to deal with.
You'll also have the option of recouping that investment when you sell the house.
Oh, very much so. I mean, it's a lot of money. You're talking, what,
Yeah.
$25,000, $30,000 for
Yeah,
a house that size?
Understand,
Yes.
but It's just that.
It's a big
the whole
investment on
idea
your
is,
part.
When you see, when I have another house one time in the Barnstable area in Osterville, and I was trying to add an addition to it, one extra room, separate from the house, as a pool house to the house. And when I went to the health department, the first thing they said, they looked over and they said, well, according to the map, looks like you have 5 bedrooms. You cannot add another bedroom. And I got the guy ready to build a new septic system just for that one room. And one day before the day that happened, I went to the health department again and started looking at the same book, and I got that piece of paper that I just showed you. And I talked to Tom McKean, he's the health director over there. And I said, Tom, could you read this up for me and see what it says? It says total room divided by 2. He looked at my house, he said, there's 8 rooms. We divided by 2. It's 4 bedroom.
Can I-
So you actually have 4.
So what this says is where the total number of rooms for a single-family dwelling exceeds 8.
Exceeds 8.
You don't exceed 8, you are at 8 rooms. This is not applicable to you.
What do you mean exceeded 8?
Is greater than 8, where the
Not
total,
greater than 8. This is 8 room here.
the regulation that you handed me states where the total number of rooms for a single-family dwelling exceeds 8.
Yep. Even if this exceeds 6, divided by 2 is 3 rooms. All I'm looking for 3 bedroom.
I think you're misunderstanding the
If
regulation.
I'm looking for 4 bedroom in there, this is for the other. If I'm looking for 4 bedroom, you're right. I'm not looking for 4, I'm looking for 3. So I have 8 room. If I divide it by 2, I'll get 4. I only need 3.
That's-
So all I need is 6 divided by 2.
But that's how the number of bedrooms is calculating if your total number of rooms is greater than 8.
Exceeds 8, right.
You don't exceed 8, you have 8.
I understand that. But they use the same formula. You divide the number of room, no matter what it is. Even if you have 6, you got 3 bedroom. So,
Okay, appreciate your time and effort, okay?
okay.
Good luck with the sale when you get there.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to number 5, the Cranberry Bog at 16 Denver Drive. It's only an update.
So, great news on the cranberry bog. On March 10th, they pulled a trench permit to have the illegal pit removed. I did go out and witness it. They have removed all the bathroom, the shower, the entire structure, and then they did go out and abandon the existing pit that was out there. So I put in a notice of voluntary dismissal to the Massachusetts Trial Housing Court to dismiss our plaintiff, our charges. So from a health point of view, they're all good. I know they're still working with the building on zoning issues, but the wiring, the building of the illegal bathroom, all that's been taken care of. So we are washing our hands of the cranberry bog from this point, so.
Maybe some nice closure on it. It's been a while. Okay. Another update, and that's on the green burial. One thing that's new is we got an edited regulation from town council. So that's what we're going to do tonight is look at the edits that the lawyers have put into this. There are not a lot of them. We would need to decide, do we agree with them or not? If we accept what they're recommending, and nothing is changing, we could vote on it tonight. If we made some changes, for sure, they would still go back to town council, and they'd have to decide on the edits we're making, either accepting theirs or adding new ones, whatever. As you recall, once this gets done, then there would be a public hearing.
Yep.
Unless, for some reason, the Board of Health decided just to end this and vote no, and it's done. It's an option as well. So why don't we start looking at the edits? You have something you want to comment?
Yes, I do. On the first page, the comment that says DEP should have the final sign-off, I went back to when we, one of the times we reviewed a draft. It was January 6th, and I have, as usual, all kinds of notes. And one of the things that I should have picked up on, we never got the draft with our revisions or with our comments on it from Jay. And for the most part, I have no problem with that, except we did say in that paragraph that the attorney has commented on, and first must be reviewed and approved by the regional DEP office for each burial request.
Yeah,
And
that's-
Jay didn't put that first in there, in the final draft that we have before us.
So in what little regulations or information's out there, DEP should be first, and then town selectmen have the final.
Okay,
Statement.
but that's not what the attorney
We
said.
agreed on that. I remember we distinctly agreed
Right,
that
but that-
before we even reviewed it, it
Right,
would,
but that's not pertinent to this right now, because the attorney didn't say anything about that. So I think that if we just put that first in there, we are acknowledging that we can't even proceed until the applicant has gone to DEP like Mr. McCurdy did, and we got a copy of their response to him, okaying it from their standpoint.
Yes.
So rather than saying they have final approval, we're asking them up front at first, hey, do we have to do anything, should we do something with this?
yeah, we definitely discussed that.
Yes.
Before,
Yes.
I think it may have been the last meeting or the meeting before that, that before we even looked at this,
Right.
he would have done that.
So all we have to do is, I think, in that or second paragraph, actually, each green burial must first be reviewed and approved by DEP. And to me, that would not require going back to town council, because we are acknowledging that DEP has the first and final approval, basically.
Okay.
That's my thought on that.
That's the way I look at it.
So they're not commenting, though, on what you're pointing out, which is correct, about the first look is by the DEP. Right? They didn't comment on it because it wasn't in it. So we're making an addition? Is that what you're saying? We're going to put a sentence in?
Must first be reviewed.
Right.
So we're agreeing with what they're saying, basically. We're agreeing with what they're saying, because we're saying we're not even going to proceed on an application unless DEP has approved.
I'm not following in that it's really, the comment that I have, it's only about the final
Right.
sign-off. It didn't,
Right.
from the lawyers.
But DEP doesn't have to have the final sign-off from the legislation, because we're saying we want them to have the application first.
In other words, before we even look at
Before we
it,
even
to
proceed,
go to the
and
DEP
if they
and get
say
approval.
no, then
Right.
And we're done.
we're done.
Right.
Rather than we go through all of it, and then we send it to them, and they say, oh, no, you can't. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree 100%, and it just was left out.
Right.
However, it then would go assuming the initial evaluation by the DEP gives us a go-ahead, it would come to us. Then the local government, which is the select board,
Right,
and then it goes to the DEP.
right.
Well, it wouldn't go back to the
Go back to
DEP.
DEP.
It's already been settled.
But we
So that
may-
would resolve all the issues that council had
But,
with the DEP.
Right.
but for the regulation, we can make a change, or local government, being the select board, can make changes
To what, our regulation?
of what was initially approved by the DEP, no? In other words,
No, I mean, what they say,
That's step
Prevails.
one.
yes.
DEP
yes,
is step one.
Yes,
Once once they get the okay, then it comes to us.
correct.
to apply our
DEP is out of
policy.
it at
Right,
that point.
Right.
Period.
right. They don't
And-
need to see it again.
Then we review it, and then the selectmen have to approve.
I don't think I agree, only that our board may make a change from what the DEP saw initially.
We could, but
And the
that's our
select board may
option.
see it either. They can do, even though we don't agree with it, they can make changes.
Who?
The select board,
Right, but the DEP has to start the process.
Right.
yes,
And then once they say, okay, it's okay, now it comes to us.
yes.
And we look at it. If we say it's okay, then it goes to the Board of Selectmen, and they have to look at it.
And then,
And then we have to put it to a town vote? Is that what it is? What
no, it's not a town vote, but.
what was the final
The process, right. is-
process?
right. It's a
Yeah,
hearing.
but DEP may not agree with what the select board does.
Well, it would
or-
never go any further than the DEP. I mean, if the DEP rejected it,
No, but if they're agreeing on the initial evaluation of it,
Right.
maybe I'm missing the point.
Well, then we have to
And
tell
then
the
for the
select
fir-
board, you
for
don't
them-
have the choice of disagreeing with the DEP. Because what we presented is what they,
But we want to make a change at some point, right?
what do you mean, make a
After the
change?
initial evaluation by DEP goes to us,
Yeah.
maybe we're going to make some changes on it.
Maybe we say no, is that what you're saying?
We could say no, but I don't know that we could say yes without going back to the DEP and saying,
if we made changes, we'd
so-
have to go back to the DEP.
right,
Goes back to the DEP.
Right.
They said that's
Right.
good.
But they would look at the whole application first and approve
we-
it or not approve it.
Have we seen the application before it goes to DEP?
Yes.
No.
No,
No,
he
we haven't
went
seen it
through
yet,
the
but we
already
DEP.
brought it to DEP
Right,
first.
exactly. So we haven't seen it yet. We may not agree with, DEP says, yeah, it's fine, but we disagree with it. We need to make this change. Then what happens?
It has to go back to the DEP again.
Right,
At the end, for sure,
no before, because I'm not
So
going to
you're
go
gonna
to
go
all
right
this
back.
work and then find out
so you're going to
that-
send it right back
DEP
there if we want to make changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Absolutely.
it comes back to us and then goes to to the select board.
So
And if
basically,
they
you
make-
wanna jerk this guy around for about 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
I'm trying, I know that. I agree with
I
you.
think that's absolute bullshit.
Well, what we have to do then is, do these regulations that we've already accepted or discussed, we already know that this particular application has been approved by the DEP.
Right.
Can we accept this application based on our regulations that we have in place now?
Ours may be more restrictive, and the DEP may not know that, what we're doing or want to do. To them, it looks fine. It meets all the state, but we may have more stringent regulations than the state does.
Then-
I'm sure we do with
then
tobacco, we do. with a
Then
lot of
it's our option to reject it or accept it.
Well, maybe pending changes. If you, for instance, wanted one more thing added on that the person needs to do for us to grant it,
Do you have a suggestion of a proposed solution? I mean, do you think it's correct to leave verbiage in here or include verbiage to say that DEP should have the final sign-off?
well, they do, is my understanding, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've said that. They must be reviewed and approved, first be reviewed and approved.
So any changes we make or the select board will end up at the DEP at the end.
So it goes DEP, Us, Select Board, DEP.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Maybe I
If
have
there's
it wrong.
changes. I don't know why we can't get a straightforward answer from DEP on this, because they've told you, right, we don't have anything to say about it. I mean, they've said, given so many different answers. And I guess I'd want to ask town council, okay, well, where do you get that DEP should have the final sign-off? You know, what are they seeing that we didn't see definitively said DEP needs the final sign-off? So that's my question to town council.
When I
Where
read,
did you get this from? You know, why are you saying that when basically, of course, we didn't put first, but if we had first in there, we're saying, we know this, DEP's got the sign-off, and then we can proceed with dealing with the application.
I think if we'd specifically stated that to begin with, the town council wouldn't have an issue with that. And I think they wouldn't have had those addendums.
Well, I think we can do
I
that.
think if we just let them know that it has to go to the DEP to begin with, and then
First,
send it back to town council, see what they have to say about that. Otherwise, we're just gonna be going around in a circle.
Trying to avoid it. So it's really just adding the one sentence.
No, not a sentence, it's just putting must first be, putting the word first
Okay,
between must and be,
okay.
last sentence in the second paragraph. Each green burial must first be reviewed and approved by DEP.
I think maybe to Hilliard's point, though, that doesn't exactly address their comment because we're stating that final approval is granted by
We
the
just said
select
if we make
board.
any changes, they'll have to go back to DEP. But
That's-
still, I think, for what we're paying town council, they should tell us, where did you get this? DEP should have the final sign-off. That's my feeling, that,
I don't think they're aware how vague the DEP was when they were consulted. The DEP sort of, it was like a deer in the headlights.
Right.
When you talk to them about it.
right,
So I really don't think the town council's aware that the DEP really doesn't have an answer for this.
right, right. That's been our experience, anyway.
Right.
Yeah, the state regs are very generic, vague. Yes.
Well, but that's what the actual DEP staff have been communicating, that, you know, we don't, you know.
Could I make a motion that we do what Mary suggests and have the DEP sign off on this before we take it any further? I'm not sure how I'd word that, but how would you word that, Mary?
Just say that the last sentence in the second paragraph, the word first be inserted between must and be. So the meaning is that the DEP has to sign off on it before
Right.
we proceed.
So you wanted to say each green burial must first be reviewed and approved by ETP.
Right,
Yes.
right.
I think that would address all the issues that town council had, I think, from what I could see.
Second.
You made the motion?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, there's a second. All right, any discussion on that? None. Okay, all in favor, just raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, fine. So that's the page one of our regulations. Great. Okay, page two, looks like under section 3, number 1, under location. No, there's one further up, I'm sorry. So the end of section 2, which is on still page 2, is the last sentence there. Under serious pathogen disease, they added on "and DEP." So a green burial of these infectious cases should not be allowed pending a decision of the Yarmouth Board of Health and DEP.
And that also comes up on the next page, under number 4, infection disease control.
Yeah.
And I would like to make a motion that we change our draft policy to say that green burials will not be allowed if the individual has been known to have been killed by a serious pathogenic disease, including highly infectious bacterial and viral disease and diseases transmitted by prions.
I second that. That's,
Any discussion?
Yes, my thinking is that if an applicant disagrees with that, they can come to us for a variance, and we can discuss that, just like we discuss any other thing that they might
So is
have an
that-
issue with.
Just number 4, that comment PV2.
We're on page 3, right?
Yeah,
And
comment
4, yeah.
PV2.
page,
Page 3, number 4, up
Page
towards
2,
the top.
on page 2 and page 3, it's both.
serious pathogen disease.
Right.
So that would eliminate that last sentence in that statement, right?
Well, that's the comment by the lawyers saying perhaps to delete it because it seems very
Right.
risky.
And I would delete it. I think we should not allow green burials
Right.
if there's any risk. I think we should not, how do we say it? We should not allow green burials if there is any risk of what it says here.
So
If
if,
the person's been killed by us, in other words, we're just saying you just can't do it.
so if we just crossed out the last part of that sentence, that, in other words, a green burial of these infectious cases should not be allowed,
Yes,
and then just forget pending a decision.
right.
Right.
That's just following what the state says
Yes. What do you mean, following what the state said?
about infectious diseases. That's essentially
Well,
what.
but I think that we should just say it can't happen. And if somebody wants to contest that, they can come before us.
Okay.
Because there's enough,
Sure.
right now, medical knowledge that, we could, I think, weigh the circumstances and all, rather than, as the council has noted, it's kind of risky. And it leaves up to whose definition of serious and whose that kind of thing. It doesn't mean that it might not ever happen if somebody brings a variance to this board or a subsequent one and, and makes that decision. But for now, we're just taking that off the table so that it isn't, a kind of a complicating factor.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then we shouldn't have to send that back to council either, because we're basically agreeing with them.
It's too risky.
Right,
Yep,
okay?
fine.
So just to be clear,
Yes,
on the page 2,
yep.
serious pathogen diseases,
Yes.
leave it as he suggested?
We say a green burial of these infectious diseases should not be allowed. Or will not be allowed, should not be allowed, period.
Okay, you're taking out pending decision?
Right,
Right.
yep.
That keeps it simple.
All right.
Yeah,
perfect.
and then when we go over to the next page where the topic is considered, we just say, we leave green burial practices should comply with any relevant Massachusetts infectious disease regulations. No, wait a minute. Larry, help me with that.
Okay.
Just say green burial practices are not allowed if
I think we
there's
can
any
just
risk
cross
of.
that whole thing off, because we've already kind of stated that in that previous statement, didn't we?
Yes. Health and safety requirements. Right, if,
Are not allowed. We know there isn't,
right,
we're not making a decision on it. Unless someone has variance that they're not allowed, period.
So in other words, just the first sentence would be the way it would,
Larry, where are you to serve? Who knows?
on number 4, on section 4.
Okay.
if we just said green burial practices should comply with any relevant Massachusetts infectious disease regulations, period, and leave out the rest of it,
Not knowing what that is, so,
because you've kind of already addressed that
right?
previously.
Said they should not be allowed, right?
So take out everything after regulations.
Yes.
Yes, and that's where the council said, this seems a bit risky.
Right.
So we're eliminating that.
Right.
Okay, people,
So that would cross off that commented PVT2. This seems a bit risky, so we'd
Right.
just be
Yeah.
eliminating that. Okay.
And I have no problem with what they asked under page 2, page 2 under section 3, adding all of those provisions.
Sure.
I didn't look them up, but I'm going to trust them.
Mary, I did the same thing. I didn't, I'm not giving it. So
mean-
let's assume that we hired, then we're paying for it.
Right,
Let's assume they're right.
exactly.
And let's move on. Okay, so everyone agrees hopefully to that.
We talking about PV3 and PV4?
This was section 3 on page 2.
Section 3? on-
Section 1.
One.
Oh, yeah, I'll
Blue
just have
things
to,
that
I'm
they-
sure you reviewed that for us,
Yeah,
Larry.
we're
Thank
just-
you.
Yep.
I appreciate that,
Yep.
Larry. Okay, where are we go? Where are we going? We're going down to,
PV3?
under section 5. Is that where we're on
Yes.
page 2?
Yes,
Okay.
commented.
So there's a whole lot of
This was
things there.
confusing to me.
All right, let's see if we can figure this out.
Are they basically saying that this number 1 in blue that they added encompasses the 1.2, 2.3, 3.4 that they deleted? Or, yeah, they deleted, basically.
They just renumbered,
Oh, is that what, it's just renumbering?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
added
All
one.
right,
all
so
that
then the
is.
comment is PV3. Is this meant to address the site plan? Yeah, the deed restriction
Yeah.
was meant to, was it meant to,
It was just meant to get onto the deed. That was
So-
my understanding. So it's written now that upon approval, the site plan identifying the location of the burial plot on the property must be recorded as an addendum to the deed, which seems
that's fine.
reasonable.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
just
got
sounds
the-
like legalese, that's
Yeah, it
fine.
does. And it, basically,
that.
well, the deed is the key word there.
Right,
It's got to
yeah.
be there for
Okay.
the new owner, potential new owner. Everyone okay with that? If not,
Yes.
okay, they
Yeah.
are.
Very-
Let's go down to,
Did you get that?
Yep.
Okay.
PV4.
yeah, stop us if we're being too cryptic or too fast, all right? Okay, so we're on to the number 4.5 point, that one, where it underlined is in addition to setbacks and buffer zones for water supply, wetlands, and water resources. So the comment there is, this is confusing as it appears to conflict with paragraph 2.
How does that
So I
conflicts?
think what they're trying to say is that if we state that setbacks must also be consistent with Title V regulations, we're implying that
Oh, burial. I mean,
burial in,
digging up and,
Zone 2.
right.
So what we're stating in number 2 is that the actual plot will not be allowed within Zone 2. However, Title V states that if any part of a property
Right, right.
falls within a Zone 2,
So we don't want to say that. But what of the Title V regulations do we want to be adhered to? Barry?
Setbacks.
wetlands,
There's the
setbacks, and
And we've already said that, wetlands, you know,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm okay with taking that off.
Yeah, my comment here, I did last night, was agree, delete it.
Yeah, okay, good.
That's what I wrote.
I'm all for that, too. Anybody else have a problem with taking that out?
What are we taking out where he blued out on 4.5? Says in addition to setbacks and buffer zones for water supply, wetlands, and water resources. Is that what we're eliminating?
No, No, we're saying it's okay that they added that,
Okay,
and that, and okay that they added also be maintained. And then we can take out setbacks must also be consistent with Title V regulations. We can
Take out
take
that
that
last
out.
The last full sentence,
Yep.
we're deleting.
And we're accepting their other comments added.
Before we move any further, Charles, any comment on the cookies? How are they?
No, don't embarrass him.
No, it's good. It's good. I was thinking about it, and I
It's
said,
getting
nah,
past dinner
good for
time.
you. Yeah. No, that was really nice. Thank you.
13,
Probably
15
good.
is,
2 hours today in Cape Cod Hospital. I don't have a great attitude.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay.
We'll need another one as well, for sure. We're down to section 5.
Number
It's coming back
15.
to haunt us.
Yes, it is. Final approval by DEP is required prior to issuance of a green burial permit.
but we can cross that off.
Well, or we can say if any changes have been made to the
Okay.
initial application, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If any.
So why don't you say that again so Barry can write it down?
Okay, we're gonna include that sentence that they say.
Okay.
Final approval by DEP is required prior to issuance of a green burial permit. If any changes to the initial application to DEP has been made,
Perfect, thank you.
have been made.
Any changes to the initial application,
To DEP have been made. In other words, unless we've changed something, we don't have to go back to them.
Right. Yeah.
Here it is again.
Is it again?
Okay, I believe we're on the last page. Why don't we call this state approval, number 3 here? So, state approval. Following approval by the Yarmouth Board of Health, comma, the application will be forwarded to the regional DEP office for review.
No,
No? I
No,
don't think
no.
we need-
Not what we're
take that
saying.
out. No,
Yeah, we've already been over that.
right. We've
Yeah.
already addressed that.
take
But
out
we've-
that,
Take it out, yeah.
So that state approval is taken out,
Yes,
that whole thing.
that whole blue sentence you want taken out.
Yes.
Right, because they've already done it.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
don't
we-
think this has to go back to the attorneys. I don't think we've done anything that has,
Materially changed.
exactly, thank you.
I don't think we've disagreed with anything.
No.
I agree. We shortened it, cleaned it up a little bit, actually. Barry, you agree with that?
I think it should go back to council, just to CYA.
I think, I'm going to go back to the first page here briefly, if
Yeah,
I
sure.
could.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Under PV1, where the
Where are
attorney,
you exactly?
the front
comment,
page,
the blue
comment
comment.
PV1,
Okay.
I suspect what town council is doing here is trying to waive some responsibility
Liability.
or liability
Yeah.
by, rather than saying final approval is granted by the Yarmouth Select Board. Put
I happen to agree with
put
you.
it back into.
And my thinking also was, if you look under mass.gov, part of it was saying that it's the Yarmouth Board of Health and DEP, it doesn't, in one area, and then it says it includes local government. So sending it to the select board also takes some of the burden off of us by including them in it. So you bring up an interesting,
I'm not sure anybody wants the final approval.
Going around in a big circle again.
Right.
so
right.
I
question,
want to try to keep this a little bit simple.
Right.
I mean, this could go on forever.
it started in September. I agree.
Right. So this gentleman isn't going to be too happy if he thinks he has to go back to the DEP again.
No.
Yeah.
I don't see the point of that.
That's
I wouldn't
why-
make the decision based upon one person, but I agree with what you're saying, yeah.
That's why I said I would ask the town council why do you say that? What, where
That's
do you,
why
where did
I
you
wanna-
find?
That's why I think we should send it back to council one more time before you take a vote on it.
I think we should send it back with our changes
Yep.
and say, we do not know where you found
Well,
in the regulations that DEP has the final sign-off. This is not what they are telling us.
can we include any correspondence that we've had with DEP with the submission to town council?
They know it all.
They know
Yeah,
it all.
Jay has been very open with them,
Okay.
how,
So they understand that we've had contradicting
yes.
Then they should be
narratives.
able to tell us where they found in
Were they aware how non-committal the DEP was right from the beginning of this whole thing?
I'm pretty sure they are.
well, we'll just,
It didn't seem that way when he wrote this out.
Right.
did, okay.
Okay.
I move that we send this green home burial regulation back to town council with the question, where did they find that DEP should have the final sign-off, since that is not what we have been told by DEP? And that basically we have agreed with their other recommendations.
The other thing, Barry, I would emphasize to town council that approval by the DEP is the beginning of the whole process.
Yes.
Well, if we
Make
put
sure they're
first.
aware of that.
First, each green, yeah,
Right.
tell, that'll be in the what most sense, because she's gonna have to retype this with our, the changes we've made
Yep.
when we send it back. So, second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, thank you. Okay. Okay. Okay, so, okay. Once again, nobody wants to hear this, but this is a document I found, mass.gov. I just found it in my pile here. I don't know if anyone has it. Maybe this was even something that was handed out to us a couple months ago. And it says, what steps are recommended to incorporate both state and local review? And
Got it.
you have it here? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Top of page 5, it says, once the local Board of Health has approved the burial site, the request should be forwarded to the appropriate regional DEP for review and approval in accordance with MGL Chapter 114. So what's the interpretation of that? So it's saying, once we approve it, it's going to DEP,
Right.
under mass.gov. So
Even if the proposal appears to meet all the state siting requirements. Appears to. But what if it's already been submitted to them and it did meet all the state siting requirements? Because apparently that's what they're interested in. DEP is interested in whether the application meets all state siting requirements. And so when DEP looked at what Mr. McCurdy sent them, they were looking at the state siting, although they also talked to Lori in the water department, and, you know, from the letter they sent him back, and in terms of whether our water department had any problems with it.
I think I recall in one of the meetings that we've had that just to eliminate all of our time and effort that they go to DEP first, just to even make sure that
Right.
it's there, then DEP then come to us. I think that's why we put it in like that. There was no need for us to do all this legwork, and then all of a sudden the DEP
Exactly.
say no.
Well, I have no problem if we have to send it back to DEP. I mean, if we do, we do. If by law, if that's what the state council says, oh, by the way, it's MGL, whatever it is that it says here, says that, then they have the final say. It's not us, it's not the select board,
That's my
it's them.
opinion. I'm not sure what we then voted on. Are we changing what we're doing? We could just make another motion here, but that's what I think it says on that page I pointed out.
Well, if we follow what you're saying, we're definitely following protocol.
Yeah, that's the government
So
regulation.
you're never, not gonna get in trouble following that protocol. It just makes it a little more of a process. But that's fine. I mean, if that's,
And hopefully, if we're not making any changes, it'll just go right through and it'll be
if they,
done.
right.
So,
It'll just be like rubber stamp. Oh, yeah, we've already seen this. and
Right.
It looks like they haven't done
I
anything.
think it's a belt and suspenders sort of.
so do we make the motion to include that? Let's just make a new motion, so it's for the record, we're making a change here.
Okay. So then, where's the,
Basically for final,
Well, I don't know if it's quite that simple, because we do want to state that, that the select board
why?
approves the,
Why do we want to say that?
well, it's part of the process, isn't it?
I don't know.
We've listed all of the other
Well, I know,
approvals
but I mean, who
required.
told us that the select board, was it the attorney that spoke to us from Martha's
was one
Vineyard,
of the-
Nantucket, or somebody?
I can't recall, I'd have to look that up, but I, from my recall, that the select board had the,
yeah, here under, this is what I see under mass.gov, under some background here, is saying that, it's all, okay, second sentence here. Home burials are not prohibited by state law, but the decedent's family must first obtain written approval from the local Board of Health and the local governing body, period. Some background on from mass.gov.
I'm wondering, though, if the board, select board approves our regulation, if that doesn't take care of what we do. If we have a regulation and the select board agrees with it and we apply it consistently, then what argument would the select board have
Right.
with it? Why should they have to review it?
Right.
I don't think they care, I don't think they're
Well,
going
it's
to want.
beyond their purview.
I
Not
don't
gonna be
either.
that many, anyway, I understand
Would be
that.
beyond their purview to
Right, Right.
redo
So
that.
we could just omit that from the regulation, the approval from the select
Put it to
board.
local governments.
I would. I mean, I think what needs to go to the local government is our regulation and our assurance to the select board that we will apply this the way we do all of our policies and regulations, consistently and fairly. And if some big issue came up, say an infectious disease variant, then we would go to the select board. We
I
could say,
think
this is what
council-
we've decided.
I think council would have addressed sending it back to selectmen.
I do too.
So,
I thought it was required.
So we're following their
Right.
suggestion.
so can we just omit what's highlighted?
Where are you?
What page are you?
On the first page, under health regulation for green burials on private property, can we omit what's highlighted? And then get rid of,
Oh, final approval is granted by the, yes.
so if we omit what's highlighted and then take the word first back out.
Yeah, and the
I'd say first,
council kind of refers to that a little bit too, that,
I'd say must first and finally be reviewed and approved by DEP. Because we do want them to go to DEP first and get all that done, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Before we start
first and final?
first and final.
First and finally.
First and finally be reviewed.
The applicant needs to go, then we'll send it to DEP for final, so.
Must first and finally be reviewed and approved by DEP.
That's clear.
Yep, okay. And take out
so we
the,
can eliminate the approvals granted by the Yarmouth Select Board.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
Got that, Barry?
I'm okay with
Yes.
that.
Okay, good.
We just call our regulations government.
I mean, as long as the regulation is,
It's a town reg.
yeah. So,
Fine.
What do you think, Charlie?
so I think
Streamline it.
that as a
do you think?
courtesy, we should bring this to, send this when it's finalized to the select board with a cover that says, this, and tell them how many months we've been working on it, and how many times, we've gone to DEP, and that town council has reviewed it, and we've reviewed it, and town council has made a final review. And that we just feel, since this is a completely new proposal for or regulation for the town, we wanted them to be aware of it. We do not anticipate
Influx of
no,
green
an
burial
influx,
applications.
Right, influx of applications.
I see more bedrooms putting in a zone two.
I'd see a line.
Cranberries. Anyway,
Been a line, for sure.
yeah, so as a courtesy, yes, that's a good idea. We'll select it,
Yeah.
send it to the select board
Yeah.
and let it be. But this has been difficult, I think, for you. I mean, just trying to get this on paper. So let us know, if there's a problem with you writing it, whatever, okay? Unfortunately, with all the discussion.
She does a superb job with our minutes. She really does.
Yeah, no, okay. Why don't we move on to something else?
Yay, yay.
Okay,
Or do we have to?
okay.
Not much more.
Okay, next up is quickly, let's go to accepting the minutes, and that was the March 3rd? Yes, 3rd meeting.
Mary had made some changes.
Okay.
Mo did make the changes in them, so
Yeah.
on one of them.
Was just a spelling of, it was just a typo instead of Diana, it's Diane.
Yeah.
And then counsel is SEL when you talk about an attorney. Those
Okay.
were the only changes. Everything else was fine with me.
So those changes were made? Great, thank you.
The one
Fine,
that Charlie
so,
will sign.
great, so, motion, thank you, Mary, to approve.
I move that we approve the minutes of March 3rd.
Second, somebody?
Second.
All in favor, just say aye. Aye, that's passed. I just have one comment on minutes. Perhaps in the future, instead of saying chairman and chairman under both my name or next to Mary's, it should be a chairperson in this day and age. How do people feel about making that change for the future? It's a chairperson.
What do we change it to?
It would be a chairperson, not a chairman or chairwoman, or, right now, for both of us, it's saying chairman, and it's gotten more complicated in this day and age. Just call it a chairperson.
Yes.
Like a male person, fire person. Yeah.
In other words, it really shouldn't be selectman board, it should, it should be,
Right. Select board, yeah.
yeah, same kind of thing, so, why don't we do that? Let's go on to new and old business.
I have a couple things. We have a few hoarding situations in town, and it's not. It'd be a lot easier if it was renters, but it's actual homeowners. How would you like us to handle them with the board? Bringing them in, like, a lot of it's financial. It's hoarding, as we've heard before, it's a mental issue. So as much as I go talk to these people and much as I want them to clean up, they just physically can't get out of their own way. Fire department's been out there, police department, and these homes are not safe to be in. They're not habitable, but they're there. If it was a renter, we could go after the owner, the landlord, to put them up to fix them. I'm kind of in a pickle here of how we should proceed. I mean, we don't have to come up with a decision tonight, but it's good. We need to talk about a few of these in the near future eventually. So, taking people to court, fining them, that doesn't do much.
What about the social worker that came in and spoke with us? Is that a resource we could use?
Yeah, it's a resource. There's a couple of these examples I have. I work with these people. The town, the police clinician, the elder services. One of them refuses any help from anybody, and they've lost their pets. They've lost. I mean, they don't have electricity. They're living in a shell. It's a very tough
Right.
situation, and it's going to be tough if something ever happens to that person in that house and they come back and say, well, you knew about this. Why didn't you do something about it? It's something I want to kind of move forward in my not my new role, but as I don't want to publicly shame anybody ever, but sometimes just bringing them in might just kind of get them that oomph. I don't know. It's.
Yeah, I don't think making a public issue out of it like
No.
that was.
No.
I think that'd make it worse.
Yeah.
I think, what about, looking at social services? There must be social service that could help us out. I think they would be more qualified than we are.
Right.
Yeah, but some of these people don't even want anything. Like I had one home, I got approval from the town administrator to waive all the fees for a dumpster. I had a company volunteer their time, not even in the house, just outside. And they wouldn't let us do anything. So I'm like, what do I do now? And I know financially I can't. It's just something I want to think about. We're not gonna be able to figure it out tonight, but we're gonna need to talk about it. We're gonna need to, because it's gonna come back one day.
Okay, well, we'll put it onto the agenda for next meeting. However, is there something that needs to be dealt with imminently? In other words, is someone in danger that we need to address tonight?
Could we contact that lady that came in and spoke with us and see what her suggestions are? Could
We can, yeah.
You think
I
we
can
could
reach
have her
back out
come in?
to-
I think that would at least maybe help point us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because I can see how frustrated you'd be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, realistically, it's sort of beyond our
I can't tell somebody
scope
how
of
to
our
live.
purview.
I can't tell someone how to live in their own home.
Right, and we're not
When it-
psychiatrists either, you know, we're not gonna, from a psychological point of view. I think that's how we need to approach it, though, from a social and psychological perspective, rather than a law enforcement approach.
And one of my suggestions last year is with these grant funds, setting aside X amount of dollars and working with one of the Robert B. Auer Brothers Disposal, somebody for dumpsters to let them do it on their own, or get help with the Buried in Treasures program. Say, all right, we'll get you a dumpster for X amount of time if you start helping yourself, and then get with social workers help clean up like that. That was one of a thought I had.
One of the things in my neighborhood, there was, and still is, a hoarder. What finally intervention worked was the family, getting the family involved. And I will say, part of it, I think, was from the aspect of saleability of the house whenever that event occurred, that she was no longer in the house.
The two main homes that I think of, they don't have family, so.
No family.
No family. It's,
Sometimes it's a lonely person on their own.
Yep.
I mean, they don't,
Right.
they may not recognize they have a mental disorder, or they just don't want help with it, or whatever. It's tough, difficult. So, once again, is there something that we need to do tonight? Is someone in danger? We're concerned right now. Otherwise, we'll just put it on the agenda.
I'll put it on the agenda for next week, but yes, we need it, sooner than later, we need to address
Okay.
one of the
So the
issues.
2 weeks is okay?
Yeah.
And as you said, see if.
Would
the
you like me to bring
social
them
worker
in,
wants to
or
come
do
in?
we just want to make a discussion?
Bring who in?
bring the homeowner in.
No,
I don't think
no,
so.
There yet,
no, no,
I
no.
think that would
No.
be just demeaning to them, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They're,
All right, that's why I
You
wanted to.
could bring someone in because they're suffering from psychosis or from depression or, yeah.
paranoia.
That would just be an embarrassment to them, I think.
Barry, could
What
you
about the
look,
social worker?
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe see if she'd want to come in again. We're going to have a discussion that night.
could you look at other towns on the Cape and see how they're dealing with it? I mean, are there some best practice, some evidence-based intervention kind of
It's
thing?
usually through, yeah, it's.
Do they
maybe
have a
I
policy or some sort of,
I can reach out to Outer Cape Healthcare, see if they want to come in. That'd be a good one.
Who is it?
Outer Cape Healthcare, they do have a lot of resources with,
Where are they?
they're out of Harwich. It's,
Outer Cape Healthcare?
yeah, Outer Cape Healthcare.
Is that a public,
No, it's a private.
It's
a-
private?
It's private.
who supports them?
I'm not for sure,
Okay.
but it's,
Are there government agencies that would support that sort of thing?
yeah.
Can we,
So,
do you think it's worthwhile talking to them about it?
yeah, I can talk to Bree and see what kind of resources she has.
Talking to anybody.
Can I help you with that if you need it?
I can reach out to you this
Be
week.
glad to help you with it.
Yeah,
well, and see if any of the other towns have been dealing with this and how they've
every
dealt
town
with it.
deals with it. It's just,
Okay. Well, let's see how they're dealing with it. See if any of them have something, a way that seems to have worked for them, or some partners in it that have helped.
okay. And the other thing, WISAC, they need a representative from the Board of Health. They meet one Wednesday a month from 5 to 6. You can either do it in person or Zoom. They're looking for a representative.
What is that?
WISAC, Yarmouth Substance Abuse Community.
Oh,
Apparently,
I did it for a few years, yeah. Represent the board on it.
they're looking for a rep from one of you folks, so.
What's involved with that?
Just, it's a Yarmouth Substance Abuse Committee. It's one day a month, 5 to 6. It's either in person or,
How would we be able to help?
honestly, I'm not for sure.
Fire department's there, someone from the fire department, police department, someone there. It's a health issue.
They
So
share-
I went for several years for that, representing on that from our point of view. Of
I was
seeing.
going for a while, and
Uh-huh, okay.
but they share statistics about overdoses and alcohol-related
And they've
issues,
writ-
drug-related
Written a grant
issues.
proposal. There's been some money come in through that committee.
I'm not for sure.
There's one person designated to lead it. It's a very Zoomable meeting to be part, if you didn't want to make the trip there. So I guess we need one volunteer and maybe a backup. Meetings were about 2 hours at most.
Yeah, they said 5 to 6 on a Wednesday, once a month.
I'm happy to be a backup, but honestly, I don't think I can consistently
5 o'clock would
attend
be tough for you,
all of
I'm
them.
I don't know if it falls upon me just because nobody's doing it as chair, I guess, or we can pull it out of a hat.
Could you do, would it be worthwhile to,
Charlie, what about you? You haven't been on any boards.
One day a month, where they meeting?
What's that?
Where do they meet?
5 to
It
6
used to be the
p.m.
police station. That's where I used to go.
5 to 6 p.m. meeting Wednesdays.
Yeah, 5 to 6.
Police
Where?
station. Unless they changed it. Eric, did you go before me or after me?
After you.
Yeah.
It was all Zoom when I was
Okay, yeah, I was you go in the lobby of the police department and there's a large room on the right side, right near where the people drop off their medicine in that
Yeah,
big box.
sign me up. We'll see what happens.
It's pretty straightforward. And
I always
I'll get you the information, Charlie, thank you.
thank you, Charlie.
carry a gun, so I could probably handle that.
They hand them out there, it's not a problem, but it's, anyway, no, that's great. Thank you.
That's all I have for new business or old business.
New business, people okay if we do March 31st? That's 2 weeks for the next meeting?
I have an old business, though, one more.
okay.
I'll make it
What do we
quick.
got? No.
I'm still waiting to hear about the, still waiting to hear about the committee that I've been put on, because I'm now hearing from other members about when we're going to convene. I'm not convening it. Jay said he wasn't convening it. He was going to be on it as a member. So do we know who is convening the plastic reduction committee? It's kind of
Do not know.
embarrassing.
I know it's Mark and Jay are talking in it, so they haven't communicated that to me. I'll find out.
Okay, thank you, Barry.
So right now, no one's leading it. Okay.
There's been nothing except that
Yeah.
email from Jay saying these are the members. And I did ask him last meeting who's convening, and he said he didn't know, but it wasn't him. So, and now I've had a couple of emails from other members asking me,
Right.
yeah, and I don't know. I just said I'd ask again.
So the 31st, it would be the fifth
Fifth?
Monday, so they're just having,
That'll be different.
yeah, no.
14 and 14, yeah.
The Board of Health has this room booked the first and third Monday of each month.
Right.
So the 31st wouldn't be considered.
Okay,
Yeah,
The next one would be April 7th.
April 7th.
okay.
So I can try and talk to Mary Alice if you would
What do
like.
people want to do?
Well, if you can try, because the next RAC meeting, there wasn't one tonight, is April 7th. And I always have to leave early because of this meeting, because they go from 4 to,
It wouldn't offset the others. It still would be April 7th.
oh. You're saying we don't have April 7th booked?
Yes, April 7th is booked, but Hillard was saying March 31st.
I was just going 2 weeks, and that's the reason
Right.
how
I'm
I
just saying,
came
if
up
we
with
could
it.
do it March 31st instead of April 7th, right? Isn't that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
So you wanted
That'd
not
be-
having that first Monday then?
Yeah. I mean, that would just mean I didn't have to get, you know,
So you would eliminate the 7th altogether and still reconvene on, what is that? April 21st?
March
3/31.
31st, and then April, yeah, then the, 2
So
weeks
it would
later.
be-
I mean-
2 weeks later, it would
Oh,
offset everything.
Right, no, it'll be back to the regular schedule then.
So it would be April 21st, so it'd be 3 weeks in between then.
The next two.
Okay.
There'll be 3 weeks either way, whether we do it now or then.
Yes, but
Right.
3 weeks now would keep
Sure.
you on your schedule because you're.
Fine
booked
with
for
me,
this room
it's, yeah, I mean, whatever,
At that time,
whatever works,
I don't know if the room's open that day.
that's why
right.
Mary,
Doesn't
you're the one
matter.
who's putting a lot of effort into this, and the other committee, ideally, what would it be?
well,
You're really
ideally,
picking up a
but,
lot.
Find me at that.
but it
what
doesn't
that
matter.
one
I mean,
day
I
is.
leave early. It's just that I kind of feel badly because I missed some of the discussion.
Right.
Whatever.
We want to
she-
push our meetings back to 5:30 then?
I would, but I'm not going to, I think I'd probably be the only one that would do it, and I only want to do it because of this RAC meeting.
I don't mind
so-
5:30. You don't mind 5:30, do you?
We're going back for 5:30? Are you kidding me?
No, we're not. No.
Okay, let somebody decide what
You're the
we want.
boss.
Whatever you want. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're the
sir.
boss.
No, I just feel badly about you, that's all.
No, you know what? No one has complained because I have to leave the RAC meetings early. So I'm just going to say,
Okay.
leave it the
So
way it
it'd
is.
be helpful if it gets back on the regular schedule,
our regular schedule would be April 7th.
7th. Okay, so why don't we do that, okay?
Yep.
Good,
At 5 o'clock.
5, yes.
nice, I like that,
Right.
okay. In future, people need, you can always ask, you want to change the meeting time, but that's up to them. Okay. Are we done with new and old? Guess so. One more item then, somebody?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Third, fourth, all in favor, say aye. Aye, everyone wants, okay, good, thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah, I would be glad to help you, Barry, on that
Yep.
boarding thing, if I can.
Give me a whistle.
Hey, not that I-
Recording stopped.